You know what would be really great? Since, you're awesome enough to be here at Waffles Maple Syrup. That's where you're at, by the way. You should like this piece of content, subscribe to the channel, and hit that little bell icon for notifications so you know what's up. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to this episode 2, session 2 of season 2 of Outcast Outclassed. Welcome. So, first, some brief announcements. There's some fun ones. A quick reminder, we are still one Ko-fi member, Breakfast Club member, so it could be anywhere, Ko-fi or Patreon. One more member away from a live reading of One Star Shinobi's fanfiction.
I need it so bad.
The World of Outcast and Outclassed. We've already hit the goal. The fanfic will be written.
It will happen.
I just want a live reading
I just want
of it.
A dramatic reading.
It needs to be the most over dramatic thing that we've ever done in our lives.
So just regular Hideaki stuff then?
Nah,
Okay.
it's gotta be.
When I say I'm going to commit to the bit, I will commit to the bit.
Yes.
Okay.
I gotta go full
Y'all know me.
Like Commedia dell'arte level.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculousness.
I'll get like some water spritzer for like some fake tears and stuff.
We'll do it all. We will reenact the whole thing. It's gonna be great.
I'm so in.
Additionally,
Anyway,
we are. I'm so excited, y'all. We are nominated, Waffles Maple Syrup, for the Crit Awards. Whoever did that, whoever nominated us, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. That means the world. We're nominated in 3 whole categories, which is wild. So you should, if one of the mods can actually post that link in chat. I don't think I have it, but there is ways to vote. It's through Google Form. Whether you're seeing this in the VOD or not, I think it should be open. I don't know when it closes. Go find out. Go try to vote. Best crit moment is the first category, and Ark's coin toss is the scene, if y'all are familiar with that.
you know.
So good. The best Nat 20. Really excitingly, best upcoming YouTube channel for Waffles Maple Syrup. I'm very, very happy about that. I hope y'all appreciate and can help us with that as well.
We're at 800 subscribers. We're going for 1,000. Help.
Let's go. We just recently hit 800, and I'm so excited.
Dude.
We are on the road to 1,000.
So
Let's
cool.
freaking do
Hit
this.
that button.
Help us do
It's
it.
free. It's free.
And then, lastly, the category that I'm so excited, y'all.
My favorite.
Best player on their Paizo Pathfinder show is Waffles, our very own GM Waffles, playing R2.
Hell yeah.
He's nominated.
Yes.
Oh my god, so well deserved. Please consider going to go vote.
I literally,
and just,
I was, when I was scrolling through, because I didn't know who was nominated or anything, I was scrolling through, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Us as a show got nominated like a couple of times. Like, WMS got that's awesome. And then I saw Paizo's stuff, and I was like, I wonder if anybody of us are here. And I saw Waffles' face, and my jaw, I smiled so big, y'all.
Dude, me too.
I was so
Me too.
excited.
I'm so excited. Well deserved. So, yay.
Oh, yeah.
That's another thing. We're nominated for the Crit Award. So, go check that out.
That's
We'll
the
see
thing.
if we win. And
We'll throw a card in something.
last announcement. We are continuing the amazing fun of giveaways tonight for all our live audience. So tonight we are giving away a bunch of really cool things. I'm gonna go backwards. We're not starting off with this. I'm going backwards in the order of things. We are giving away this really cute Chessex dice set. It is the Scarab set, and I like them, so we're giving that away tonight. We're also giving away a Crafty Gamer candle, the scent of your choice. Thank you so much, Crafty Gamer. And
so
then, what is this thing that I'm holding?
Y'all, these dice.
1985 Games. We reached out to them. We were like, hey, you want to maybe like help us out? And they were like, yeah, bet. And these amazing retro VHS dice. I don't know if it's this one particularly. This one's fine.
If it's that one, it's these ones. These are those.
I don't know which one you're gonna get, but all of them are so gorgeous. That is $70 worth of value. It is amazing. I'm so
really
excited.
nice
So
dice.
grateful.
They're
They're
really
beautiful.
nice.
They're
They're
resin.
sharp-edged
They're
dice.
gorgeous. And
Like the D4.
we're gonna start that off actually right now with.
Oh.
Cass is gonna laugh here. ! Therapy in chat.
Yes!
therapy.
He wants laughs.
Boy, do we need therapy.
So
It's
we're going to cut that off
true.
at the beginning right now with these gorgeous 1985 games, retro VHS dice.
Are you trying to tell us something, sir?
What? No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
In character or out of character? I feel like.
Traumatized.
Yes.
Que no los dos.
Let's see.
Those
See,
are our announcements. Very, very briefly, Maria, can you kindly take us through our sponsors tonight?
Wait.
Yes, I
Can I interrupt
almost
real quick?
can. Yes, you
I have
can.
a section that's new, and I think it should go before the sponsors.
Ooh,
Do
call
it.
out.
I think it should happen after.
Okay, it'll go after
Damn.
then.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
God.
I didn't know. I'm sorry.
Nominated for awards, but also like a fissure.
Okay. All right, I'll make it quick. I'll make it brief then. So you've heard one of our sponsors already, The Crafty Gamer. They do incredible things, such as candles. That one's being given away tonight. But on top of that, they also have a bunch of other tabletop-inspired merchandise. They have a physical store down in Florida. So if you're around the area, look them up. Go visit their physical store. They're also, I've seen them pop up in like my local stores in like the Midwest as well. So look at your local gaming store and they might be there as well with their candles and their cool TTRPG related mercantile things. Or you can go on their website at thecraftygamer.com, peruse their wares and all of that stuff and go buy a lot of things. But also, you should go check out our second sponsor, Eldritch Osiris. Eldritch Osiris Games is the first TTRPG workers co-op ever. They ever in history so far. They are a bunch of writers, producers of content, of Pathfinder specific content at this time, and they are focused on equality and everybody in the staff there having a say in what gets made and what gets put out and all of that stuff. Fantastic and wonderful people. Please go check out all of their stuff at eldritchosirisgames.com and look for some new cool stuff coming out, maybe later this year or something from
Something
a
that
handful of
maybe
people in
Waffles and
this-
I wrote
Yeah.
for, maybe?
Yeah.
What? Say what?
What?
Oh, right.
I think
Yeah.
you too, right?
Also, for Goblin Society Games, man, I also was working on things, so do also that. Listen, this is your stream. I don't want to add myself without your permission.
Maybe
Because we saw what happens
consummate
when
professionals, y'all.
commissions-
We are just on our A game tonight, and
We're doing great. Thank you, Eldritch Osiris and Crafty Gamer. You're amazing.
We have
Yes,
to let
thank
you
you.
know, we're gonna cry later.
I gotta get it out
And
now.
then, lastly, also a reminder: we are Roll20 ambassadors, and we are super grateful for their content here. We run Strength of Thousands from their pre-made adventure paths directly on Roll20. I don't know if y'all are aware. I'm trying to pull it up now. There is the beta is live for their new overlay in Roll20. I highly encourage everybody to say yes to that. It is fantastic. You have separate layers. We saw the preview. It's great. Genuinely is making my life a lot easier because everything is organized and they're showing you all of your things that if you were aware of were a lot of keyboard shortcuts to do things, but now they're actually showing it to you on the sides and you're able to access a lot more of that. So it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot prettier and nicer. So go check it out.
It's a lot more streamlined on the player side too. As
Good.
I just switched over, it is very sleek, very good.
Thanks.
Very nice.
So thank you, Roll20, for that. And then what we're going to do, Waffles,
Yes.
can you kindly sound off everybody's starting hero points for us tonight? And then we'll
yes.
go on.
Yes. Art 2 is starting with 2. Arfin is starting with 2. Talyatya is starting with 2. Hideaki is starting with 1.
Remember that if you're watching us live, you can absolutely give some of those to the cast and me or me. Thanks.
Thanks, Jordan.
Andy, Jordan.
Great,
Jordan,
thanks.
stop it. I'll
Great,
keep that in
great.
mind.
You've used your one owlbear nugget, Jordan. Thanks.
She
Sucks.
needs
That
it.
niggy.
Wait,
I
but Duval
probably-
got one, so Duval gets one now.
Hey.
Thanks.
Well, with that,
Kitty Craft, you're good.
suppose we'll just have to see you in class with after this brand new intro video that I love so much and I forgot about. Okay, see you in class.
Tops or bottoms?
Welcome back. I love it. So, if you didn't get that reference, go to our Discord.
You're fired.
Join our Discord and see the meme that Alex made.
Anyways, welcome back. Last we left off, our group, I even struggle to say misfits. Our group, our sprouts, have
We're the future.
come together
Right.
through the urging of one Binji to finally, get her a job, to be honest. But also kind of forcing a couple of youth that have just sort of not gotten together for a little bit after the events of Stone Ghost and put you back in a room together, which, would have been straightforward and great, if not for all the emotional damage, kind of just really hidden back there that nobody saw.
What's this bag that I'm carrying? What's this bag? This baggage what is this?
But first, you all in your beginnings to kind of catch up on, hey, what have you been up to this past little bit? We're interrupted by some urgent messages because there is fighting in the dorms between Paper. But you all receive notices, this puzzle of a sort, these odd individual messages from what turns out to be the learned one himself, Janatimo. Quickly putting it together and figuring out the puzzle, you go to meet with this Janatimo. After one more failed attempt at discussing, the flying thingy, the Hideaki Hebram business. It's fine. We'll get there one day.
It's one day.
We invited Haber to
buddy.
dinner and just totally ignored him.
Yes, absolutely. But you, in discussion with the Janatimo, who seems to be upbeat, bright, eccentric, if a little bit not, jumping straight into it, asked you some questions about your time so far. Unbeknownst to him, opening up Pandora's box of emotions, and the suitcase just burst open of emotional damage.
Okay, how could he not know when his first topic was, how'd you feel about dying?
No, he didn't bring that up.
He didn't bring it up.
He didn't bring it up, to be fair. So Janatimo goes and busies himself making tea for like way too long as you all have your discussions. Ark and Tal encounter a very interesting experience as Tal tries to explain to Ark how things are really going from their experience, and Ark rejecting that. And Hideaki and Arafe having their own conversation about some secrets that Arafe could no longer contain. And as Ark and Tal return to the room, to the office with Janatimo, and Janatimo comes out with the tea, we return and we come into this scene. I believe there was a brief discussion and a check-in with Tal to make sure that they were comfortable and okay with continuing this conversation. At this point, Janatimo looks at all of you. Listen, I understand. You're struggling. I think each of you are struggling in your own ways. Just as others before you have struggled. But the ability to move forward and persevere and grow in spite of these struggles is why I have called each of you here. And it looks and takes a moment to look at each and every one of you.
Hideaki nods.
You are not here alone. I have not singled a single one of you out. Because I'm curious as where you will go together. For despite the clearly dramatic, kind of like looks down at you, Tal, things that have occurred, you are still here united. This is the story that I want to tell with you. Are you all willing? At this, knowing this question that is posed in front of you, each of you think back to what you've heard so far, that the learned one, Janatimo, is known for skyrocketing careers, for picking and choosing talented people and helping them make it big in whatever that means. You know this is one straight shot to success if you have Janatimo as your mentor.
Sure.
Yes.
You have no idea how absolutely on the nose this is for me. Abso-damn-lutely.
Smiles at you.
Tal just nods. And there's like a small like shadow of maybe a slight smile. Maybe.
Ooh. Excellent. Now I will say, having each other is fantastic, but I'll be honest, it's rough out there. So I also wanted to recommend to you a therapist that I know in Natambu. Her name is Emily. I like her.
I have to go. I the player have to leave now. I gotta
believe
go.
you. How dare you? How dare you?
Oh my god.
No one understands that. Great.
No one gets it.
No one gets it. That's
The things you do when your player typos to voice text.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
I was being responsible. I was driving.
No, I'm very proud of you, Star, but thank you for naming the therapist. I needed a name.
Emily is down.
God.
Great.
And I know it is very difficult for a lot of individuals to relate to some of the experiences that you all are going to. So Emily, the reason I like her so very much is she used to be an adventurer herself, and so she's been through some of it. So if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm happy to give you her information. She should still kind of like realize this for a second. It's like, I actually haven't been in town for like a couple months. I'm sure I will just make sure that she's still practicing, but I will, if not, get you somebody else. Anyways, so let's talk to some of the more interesting things that I'm curious of. You have plenty of interesting things to share, I am sure. But as the conversation went a little off track, I'm going to just kind of bring us into what I am curious about. Teacher Ott did talk to me a little bit about what happened after the big stone ghost. I hear there's some new students on campus and some errant griffins.
They're not on campus.
Right, and any more. You all handled them deftly, I'm told.
I'd say so.
Let us practice something here, something that I always love to do. I have some questions, but straightforward answers could be really boring. So, what I want is one of you to give me your most reasonable answer. And I want one of you to give me your most outlandish theory that you can think of. Not so outlandish that it is impossible. Just outlandish enough. Can't say that word today. Outlandish. There we go. So, let us begin with you. Arc 2.
Yes.
In your reasonable answer, what do you think drew the griffins to the Magaambya?
I assume it is what is also drawing the bugs.
Interesting.
If something is being drawn and it is alive, why couldn't something else alive not be drawn?
The way I want to handle this a little bit, because rolls are fun, if you can think yourself of a theory you want to pitch me, like you just did, Waffles, valid, but I still want to give it a chance for some rolls in here. So how convincing it is to Janatimo, I would like you to make me a check, since this is kind of based on like magical theory is what I'm hearing. Like, if something's pulling the others, then something is pulling other living creatures. What kind of magic check would you like to give me?
I'll give you an Arcana.
Give me an Arcana. And this is giving something, the success of this is like how you are pressing Janatimo. Does that make sense?
Yes. I'm gonna use a hero point.
Like pressing?
Ooh, what did you get?
Nat
first?
1.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Alright, I rolled another nat 1. Cool.
Cool.
Wow, roll 20. Roll 20 ambassadorship.
This is clearly not a good answer. Roll 20. Roll
wild to
20
have a
never
plus
betrays
10.
me. They make me tell a good story. So
There you
That's
go.
true. Can't
Good
be
save.
betrayed if you're ready.
Luckily for you, can't really go lower than 0 and you started things off with.
that's true.
He looks at you, and you see him kind of go, okay. And you can tell he's like, I suppose so. He seems to not find a certain basis of like anything in your answer. Like, yes, potentially could be, but this is supposed to be your straightforward answer. So,
Yeah. He can't wrap his head around my answer, honestly.
What can you do?
Hideaki, give me your most outlandish answer. Same question.
Hideaki stands up. Teacher Janatimo, do you have a blackboard?
Takes a sip of tea. You know what? Yes. But
Where would it be?
under 5 minutes, please. And is going to wave his hand, and you see a couple of books kind of push over on the opposite side and push away from like a blackboard that is kind of behind a bunch of stuff that you have to like kind of pull out there.
All right. he grabs a thing of chalk and starts writing stuff down, like Magaambya, paper frogs, myceloids, everything that's essentially happened before the tournament, all of it, right? Teacher Janatimo, since the very beginning, I have believed, at least a small morsel, that things have been connected from the very beginning. I said to myself, these paper frogs that attacked us, they didn't really. Overnosa tried to eat one, and they tried to defend themselves. The myceloid situation, I didn't trust Teacher Rot, all these things. Ties, and then kind of zooms into, like, kind of ties, like, starts writing down like Stone Ghost, and then sort of tying things together. And I have a very different, like, read on things now that I've been to at least one, if not two, other planes of existence. But it's all tied back around to this, what we believe to be this bug problem. That's what we think is the very basis. And we know that Stone Ghost didn't create that, at least that's what we believe, and we know that Stone Ghost used that to create everything that happened and be this big mastermind. But I read a lot of books, Teacher Janatimo, and there's always something bigger. Now,
I will, as you, not to interrupt the flow, but Tal, make me a perception check.
Me?
You see Arafigo.
Gotta roll dice. I was like, I literally looked at my character sheet like, what do I do with my hands? What do I do? 17 is what I get.
17. Where you're positioned by Janatimo's desk, you do see him as Hideaki is going to, like, pulling this chalkboard out, writing things down and presenting. You do see him, like, fiddling with something in his lap, and you kind of just, like, lean forward to, like, look past a book, and you see him making, like, a little, like, hat out of tinfoil that was, like, left over on his desk, and he sees you looking at him, and he looks over at you and gives you a wink. Continue, Hideaki.
perfect.
Tal tries very hard not to laugh.
It's like one of those, like, little paper boat hat things that you get.
So maybe it's the planets that are aligning. Perhaps. Maybe it's just our time. I've been researching things like fate, and I don't really know where I feel about that just yet. But what I do know is that these conspiracies, they typically have a little bit of truth in them. And maybe everything is connected. And maybe it's just our time to figure it out.
What in this deliverance is the thread that you are, like, trying to use as, like, the push together? Is it that everything's tied together by fate, or is that everything's tied together by, like, something to do with the planes? Like, which direction is your theory going?
A bit of both. Because he's sort of, like, on the fly, like, delivering this. And it's just like, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's this. But then those two things can't come together, right? But maybe.
Since it's not focused on a specific theory, like magical theory, let's go with something like diplomacy, just to see, like, how good of, like, a talker you're doing at this.
Okay, that's great.
Now, I will say at all points, the outlandish theories have a higher DC than the realistic ones.
Perfect.
But, yeah.
I'm going to use a hero point, because that was terrible. And it's still terrible. We're starting off hot, everybody. Let's go. That's a 14.
Okay. You see him nodding, and when you turn back around and, like, complete your theories, you see him, like, with his hands folded, kind of leaning forward on the desk. I love the creativity. I think it opens the door to many, many potentials, though I'm failing to see one particular thing to take hold of, but it is important to keep the options open, and I appreciate that. So it's not a success, but it's not like a crit fail either. It's just this sort of, like, I appreciate it. It's not enough to, like, wow him, but he is appreciative.
May I add to my answer? It will be really quick.
Yeah, of course.
So what I meant by, like, the bugs are being drawn by a live thing, so the Anadi were drawn here by the bugs, I believe, and then the griffins were drawn by the Anadi, I believe.
Like it's some sort of
my
like
question
signal.
is very specifically to the Griffins. I'm going to get to the Anadis in a moment. So, the theory for the Griffins?
The Anadi drew them.
I see. You've already rolled and used a hero point.
Yeah. I mean, he can
so
believe me the same amount. I just wanted to voice it as Ark.
okay.
I believe Ark was misunderstood because I'm misunderstood as a person.
Piano begins to play slowly. Incredible Hulk.
Now, I understand that we think that perhaps the Anadis drew the Griffins, or perhaps extraplanar machinations, but the Griffins were quite hostile, right? They arrived and they immediately dived in to attack our newfound Anadi students, right? So, my wonder is, why were they so hostile to begin with? Let's continue. Hideaki, if you can provide me your realistic answer. And Arafe, your most outlandish. But let's begin with you, Hideaki.
Quick Jacob check. They, if correct me if I'm wrong, they appeared malnourished. If I think I don't remember, but I remember that being like a takeaway.
They were not overly malnourished. They were unique griffins. There's a very more common griffin, but their patternings, like where I'm forgetting exactly now.
They had a black bird head and leopard bodies.
Leopard bodies. So sometimes the bodies are of a sleek, like a one colored species style, but this one is clearly like a fancier, rare kind of like
premium griffins for us.
Premium griffins. But that was striking. But they weren't overly malnourished. They were fine.
They were normal nourished.
It didn't stand out to you.
Not Neopets. I know.
No.
That's why I said it.
No.
If you know, you know.
I haven't looked at mine since 2002.
Yep, that's about mine for me. Still hungry. He kind of looks at the blackboard and like resists the urge to start something new, and sort of turns to the table.
If you want to supplement yourself with a recall knowledge check ahead of this check,
I think that sounds good. Just to make sure. Oh, well, that's a little better. Recall is just an intelligence thingy?
So it depends on like what kind of recall knowledge you were looking for.
Let's say.
Do you want to like nature? Like, you want to learn about the Griffins and like their type of just like what their personality are usually like in nature?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Comparison
so
to what we experienced. Yeah. So 30-20.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you know that Griffins typically are like not. They don't go into society. They're not. They're like, yeah, they're in the wilds. They're not here.
Mm-hmm.
And that strikes you also as odd. Of like, okay, they came into like a populated area and attacked these Anadis.
Right.
So that's something that you can pull on for your thing, and I'll give you a +2 to your next check.
Okay. Cool. So the thing that really stands out to me is typically Griffins would sort of stay out in the wilds. Whether it be mountains or forests or what have you, grasslands even. So the open question is really, why would they come into society and risk essentially what happened to them? A bit of a return volley, if you will. So what comes to mind immediately is just desperation. Whether that be, they didn't necessarily look super malnourished, but I'm sure just like anybody else, they were hungry. Now, the open
so whatever
question
brought
is, why
them
specifically
to the city also created their hostility, is what you're...
I think that's where I'm headed to. And
Make
then,
me... I will let this be another like nature check or diplomacy check if you want to talk it, like whichever you're comfortable.
I'll do diplomacy. Natural 20.
Amazing.
So that's with the +2, that's a 31.
Wow. Amazing. So that's absolutely a crit success. So he kind of like nods and says, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. He's like, oh, I didn't really think about that. They're not really often in the city. So that does make sense. And he's like, you see him like proudly like, oh, yes, okay. Which will give you 2 impression points for that crit success. Arafe, what is your most outlandish theory?
So, was there anything about the Anadi that made them seem like she has, been with strands of glowing dawn a lot? Was there anything about these Anadi that seemed to make them unique?
So without a check, because this is something that had been discussed a little bit, one of the things that definitely strikes you is when you hang out with Strands of Glowing Dawn, she's most often in her human form. Kids wish like waffle between the two, but oftentimes when you go out of the dorms, and whether it's like class, if you've ever been with her in the city, she kind of enforces everybody to stay in their human form because of the kind of it could scare people. Like the natural Anadi like countenance of being spider people is often like difficult for a lot of people, and so she kind of tries to make that go. These were absolutely in their hybrid forms. Okay. That is one thing that is different from them.
And you had said like Anadi were not common in the Magaambya or in Natambu, right?
They're not. Yeah, kind of. They're not that often in the Natambu city. Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I guess outlandish. So like Hideaki said, griffins don't come into the city very often, so perhaps there's someone who was targeting these Anadi on purpose and it was an assassination attempt.
Oh. Interesting. Go ahead and roll. What would you like for this? Do you want diplomacy as well, or do you want to like argue whatever you want?
I mean, I'm gonna go with diplomacy because that's my best one.
Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna use a hero point because I'm not rolling a 1.
We're with like hero points now. Yep, I don't need that for the rest of the session.
Hey.
Which was a good choice because now that is a 24.
Let's go.
Amazing. He sits back and he's like, oh, perhaps they were part of the plot that released the griffins when they went their way to the school. And he starts like kind of building, right? And that's why they targeted. Oh, I like it. No, perhaps we can never say no for certain. And he is like enjoys it a lot. That is absolutely a success for the outlandish DC, which is fantastic. So it's an additional point there. Now, speaking of the Anadis, I am curious because, as you mentioned, Arafe, they're not often found here. So my curiosity and some similar mentions that's been talked about a little bit, but what brought the Anadis here to the heart of the city, with which they are they appear anyways, wholly unfamiliar with? Arafe, if you'd be willing to provide me a realistic answer, and Taliatya, your most outlandish.
Well, I think the most possible answer for this is, the Anadi have an insect lineage, and we've been noticing a lot of strange insect behavior and a lot of drawing of insects here lately. So perhaps something within there, whatever this magic is. I mean, we've seen insects creating runes in wood and strange things like that. So perhaps it's that magic that's drawing them here, same as the rest of nature.
Make me, in this case, I want it to be a magic-based roll, based on, like, the magical theory implied. So you could do Arcana, you could do, like, what would you like?
Well, my
there's
occultism
primal
in
magic
my-
as well, so nature is allowed in this case.
I think I'll go with nature then. Because going with that the druidic portion of her studies.
Excellent.
That is a 19.
You see him like sit back, and he's nodding. Yes, you've mentioned this attraction of different insects, but my curiosity is what possible thing is drawing them? And you can see like you were this close to the DC in terms of numbers, but he seems like he wanted some more fleshing out of like a plausible theory of like what is this magical force that is supposedly attracting them. So very, very close.
We don't know that.
He wants
That's what we're
theories.
trying to figure
Listen,
out.
I've been writing down theories this
DC,
entire time.
DC 20, DC 20.
Yeah. Now we know the number 20.
Now,
Well, for
actually, in
that-
this case, because of the lack of like knowledge on the realisticness of it, the realistic was actually a little bit harder for DC than the outlandish in this particular question. Taliatia, would you like a whiteboard? The blackboard?
I was about to say, I was like, Hideaki flips the blackboard over.
It's a whiteboard
I was
on the other
literally
side.
about to say, yep. And he just goes, oh,
Actually, Tal initially says no, and then just kind of cocks their head and gets out of their chair and takes the piece of chalk from Hideaki and draws a circle with 10 circles on the outside, like on the perimeter, and one large circle in the center.
You hear a very small discussion break out behind you of like, man, that's a really great circle. How did they draw such a perfect circle?
It's a
they get
perfect
up there and they're
circle. I
like-
don't know how it happened. Right? Just like
they
one,
start like
one,
practicing those perfect circles.
That just does the wrist thing and it's like perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect.
how did they do that?
Yeah. And they're looking at the board. They just ask, instead of stating a fact, they say, has anyone checked to see if any of these statues are different, or the thing in the center of the school? I read that there's some magical properties to them, and maybe somebody, I don't know, messed with them and is making magic weird.
So you kind of draw like a campus, the campus
I draw-
of Magaambya.
It's for everyone who
Yeah, yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
privy to the map. The Magaambya, which is a circle, and it has 10 statues around it, and then in the center is a very large, beautiful gazebo type thing that is like,
Super
really
magical.
pretty and cool and very magical.
Interesting. Would you like to argue based off of magical theory or diplomacy? Okay.
Yeah, I think they're going more the intellectual, like arcana-ish tinted side of it because of all the research that they had done on the school during this period
Love
of
it.
weeks of doing things.
So given the fact gathering that has occurred prior to this in story and everything, take a +2 to the Arcana roll.
Fuck yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Let's go.
Great. Gonna hero point that one.
Just burn
With this hero point, Waffles, what is the new count? I just must know.
It is currently Arc 1, Airfay 1, Tau 1, Hideaki 2.
Excellent.
The opposite of what it was at the beginning.
Adios.
You said +2.
Yes.
Okay, that is 27.
Ooh. You see his eyes kind of widen in surprise as he's just
Yeah, I look over my
"Oh,
shoulder back over there.
Interesting. I didn't even consider the campus itself, and it's, the warriors have been here for so long, but that's
Well,
not.
the reason it's kind of confusing because the and Tal draws like an even bigger circle around
Again,
the Magaambya.
perfect.
The Griffins, I don't know if there was any reported attacks or anything in the rest of the city, but they came through the entire city straight here, unless something else was reported. And if they were simply just following the Anadi, then, they had ample time to do anything to them at any point on the road or anywhere else.
You seem kind of just like at a loss for words, like nodding, like you're very logical here. Raises both hands up, but he's just like,
sorry, it doesn't feel
great,
very
and then just kind of gives you 2 thumbs up. So what was your final roll again?
27?
27.
27. Whew,
Yeah.
so close to a crit success there. But he will absolutely like impress, like, no, that I did not go that way, and for an outlandish theory, I love it. I love the perspectives.
Under their breath, they'll say it doesn't feel very outlandish to me.
Can I get the chalk really fast?
Sure, and I'll toss it over.
I love how the new head
Roll
cannon
to make
is
the
that-
perfect circle, Hideaki.
He goes to the other side. No. He goes to the ridiculousness that he drew earlier, and right in the middle,
upside down ridiculous
statues. In really big letters.
Amazing. And then it is now absolutely canon that Tal draws just like perfect chalk circles.
Perfect. Yep, that's it.
Just
Yep.
Somehow.
Only in chalk,
amazing.
though. In anything else,
Only in chalk.
Not.
Hey, as an artist, I'm telling you, there's a huge difference when you are vertical versus horizontal drawing. It's different.
Yeah. But it's only chalk. It's not like grapha. It's not anything else. It's only chalk.
It's the right, drag. It's the right friction. It's everything.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, I love this. No, that's fantastic. So now, last question. So what I'll do here is Tal, if you can provide me a serious answer and Arc to an outlandish answer for this.
So something not from this land, correct?
No. Outlandish being in. Perhaps there's not many data points that lead it to being a likely answer, but one that you cannot fully write off as not plausible.
So, like, there's a 5% chance that it's possible.
Yes.
Hideaki bites his tongue and says to Overnosa, like a certain not dream.
Oh, because we don't know if that's gonna hit different.
So, what else might the Anadis want besides to study? Because they came in, they just said we want to be here to study is what they said. And that is what might make them feel more like they belong here. And he's again kind of leaning into like this pull that we're all talking about, that we're all feeling. So what else do you think they might want?
Perhaps something is happening in their homeland that they don't want to talk about. And they do want to learn more so that they can take it home and perhaps protect themselves and the people that they care about.
Roll me diplomacy, I think, in this case.
La 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 la. What is math?
I don't know.
27
I'm
again.
not a math guy.
No, it's 27 again.
Is
That's
that
what
the
it is.
Hey!
t-shirt? Not where the fuck is perception, but what is math?
What is math?
What is math?
And
It's
it's
the
just
evolution
Tal
of the
writing
perception
equations and just having
Yeah, yeah,
perfect
yeah.
circles everywhere.
So he kind of looks at
27,
you, and he's 27.
Yeah.
I see. Now, because his intent was, they say they want to be here to study, but they also feel a pull here. So what might that be? And you could tell that in your answer, his mind was definitely turned to like, what are they searching for here on school, like on school grounds, outside of just studying? And the flipping it of like, well, what do they not want to be at home for is like a thought line that he didn't really go down. And he's like, oh, well, I suppose that's very possible. And so he seems to appreciate that, and you absolutely succeed with that. Ark.
I do not think they even know that they want to be here.
Confidence. I love Ark so much.
I just love how Ark is able to boil it down to just like this.
Yeah, like
This one sentence explains it. That's all you need.
God, we're so different people. Just different people.
Yes, that's the point.
Whether it be they are controlled or whatnot, I think that of their own free will, they're not exactly wanting to be here.
Very interesting.
Go ahead. I'll wait until the roll, but then Tal has it.
Okay.
Or if it'll help the roll,
Go for it.
Tal will add on. I could see something like that happening. I mean, that something like that happened to a couple of us earlier, a while ago.
With the mic.
Right.
Maybe they have spores in them.
Or some sort of
Now
magical
we're
effect.
getting
Taking
This
it off of experience and basing it off of that, I think it qualifies. And so before I kind of finish that reaction, Waffles, argue me your role, because I'm very curious.
I mean, I'm going to say either academia lore or arcana again, for the fact that I've read of something like a group of people being drawn somewhere, or like Art probably knows at least what Waffles knows, and there's magic where you can speak to people in their dreams, and you're telling them they deserve to be at the Magaambya. And
Okay, I love the academy lore or academic lore spin, because that when specific lores fit, I like to lower DCs, and with kind of Tal's supportive help about saying that it happened to you before, and I know that y'all looked up Myceloids and did a lot of research on them. Go ahead and roll me that.
Because we were about to burn it down. Oh, that don't piss me.
17.
We are in a tree.
Should I use my last hero point? I'm gonna use it.
Yeah.
I'll probably roll worse, but I'm gonna use it.
Do it.
Sure.
YOLO.
Nobody needs any more hero points today.
I don't.
Hey, listen, chat can give us a hero point if you're here live in chat.
22.
There you
Hey, there we go. That's
And he kind
cool.
of you see him on the edge of and then you add that last little piece of all the other kind of theories of different magical ways in which peoples can be affected. And he's like, well, I think it absolutely is a plausible outlandish answer. I think you hit the nail on the head.
It is at least 5% true.
And it's at least 5% true. He smiles at you. Amazing. No, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing your analysis with me. I think that your heads are both analytical and creative and in the right direction. But do you think I'm just gonna be okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a great
Bye.
No.
Thanks for the tea.
go home.
Of course not. No. Now listen. School, your schooling here, your classes here are incredibly important. So I don't want to interrupt or get in the way of that. However, if you would do me the honor, the favor, let's put these theories into a little bit more than theory. I would love if you take your time between classes and see if you can't. I don't think they're mere coincidences, is all I'm saying. Kind of looks to you and nods, Hideaki. And so, I want to dive in a little bit deeper. Do some research. Go into the city. Go see what you can find, or go talk to the Anadis, whatever you need to do. And tell me what you can. So, I want to find out more about what brought the Anadi students to the school and where the Griffins came from. It's again, coursework is priority above all else, but when you have a little bit more information on your theories and any more answers you can provide, come back to me.
Is there a deadline?
No.
Understood.
Well, to your point, I guess one way to figure out if there's been other attacks or sightings is to head into the city.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the past couple weeks of like being here on campus, since everything, you do know that the Anadis have come onto campus and are staying on campus as well.
And we can do that too.
So should we ask them, or should we head into the city and ask other people?
Well, from a distance perspective, I guess we can chat with the Anadis first before heading into the city.
I mean, we're also talking about doing this tomorrow. It is like 8:30.
Yeah. No, for sure. Oh, that reminds me. Teacher Janatimo, so since you're going to be, unless it's not going to happen, being our new mentor and stuff like that, will we be seeing Teacher a lot less?
Oh, no. He's here and is, I'll be fully honest, much more easier to be found than me. I do not like to stay still, but I'll be here. I'm here back on campus for at least a little bit, because, well, reasons. I just smiles at you all. And you can tell, like, it's because of you. Like, y'all, he's here because he's heard so much about y'all from Teacher on. But I'll be here, and I'm happy to assist. This is the building in which you can most often find me if I'm not out and about on campus. But Teacher Odd is still going to be teaching his classes, and a little bit of both.
Okay. I just didn't know if there was each level, we get a new mentor, and so there's a new mentor ceremony for more bugs to attack us at. I'm just kidding.
No, I understand. Do you want me to stage a fake ceremony for you just let any? What's that?
Mm-mm.
No fake ceremony.
We have a poor track record with ceremonies.
Understood.
I don't think we've had one where we haven't been attacked yet.
I think you're right.
We've
First day of school.
lived through all of them, so we've had a good track record.
Right.
See?
The ceremonies don't have good track records. We have good track records.
Yes.
Then I am not concerned. But no fake ceremony. I'll be honest, I don't have the time for that. But
Why did you offer?
well, I mean, I was partially joking, but also, if it's really suddenly important and you had pieces of information that I didn't have, I wanted to open the floor just in case. But
Understood.
no, I mean, yeah. Thank you all so much for coming. I will see you all around. I'm eager to see where these theories get proven in one direction or another.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for hosting us.
I think the word is enumerating. Yeah,
Yes.
we'll go with that.
Will we learn about Emily when we return?
Oh, yes, I can give you her information, actually. No, thank you so much for reminding me. And he will, kind of go start looking into his desk and pulling out drawers. And you can tell, he's come back to campus, but this is, a building that he occupies, periodically. And there's, old papers and, there's, he's a bit of a mess of a man, but he's, so he starts, looking through different...
Chaos is what you're looking for.
Organized chaos. And he kind of starts, going through, and he's like, oh, here we go. Yes. And he pulls out this sort of business card, little square that has Emily's information, her address in Natambu, and will hand it off to, if Ark's the only one that seems to have stepped back and is interested, he'll hand it to Ark or whoever wants it.
Ark grabs it and hands it to Tal.
Jesus Christ. I cannot.
Tal looks at it for a beat, and then we'll take it with both of their hands. Thank you.
And Ark
We'll put it in
also
their side satchel.
Ark also looks it over for 2 seconds, he's both sides trying to memorize the information, and then hands it to Tal.
Why do I feel like Ark has eidetic memory? Like,
I feel like it's been established that he kind of does, right? Or at least he's a very fast reader that retains a lot of information.
I like to say yes. He's very intellectual and he has a very high intelligence score for what that translates to. But I like to use like feat flavors for feat, like to if he takes any particular feats for that. But he does have
a lot of stuff like approximate, which lets me count stuff real quick, and then I think quick sort.
It's a honed skill as opposed to
it's a very honed
natural ability.
Excellent. So as you all gather yourselves and begin to head out, you start kind of walking out into like the dark nighttime of the campus, where things begin to sort of like we take a moment and a breath of like, okay, you did that. You met somebody new, definitely a character. And as you kind of begin to step forward and like lose yourself into your thoughts and your processing, the door opens, you hear it behind you again. He goes, oh, wait, sorry, almost forgot. Here, catch. And he's going to toss something at you all from like the stairs, from the top of the stairs to the office.
Is it metal?
I'll catch it.
I'll
try to catch it.
Ark casts magnetic attraction.
It begins to go like into like the middle, like to you, Tal, and then it just sort of shings goes to the other side. Oh, actually, wait, hold on. It might not be metal.
If it's not, I need to know if it's metal or not. It's the only
really
way
funny.
this works.
Right.
And one bulk or less.
It's one bulk or less. Hold on. No, it's
Holding?
wood. It's made out of wood.
It's wood.
Ark casts telekinetic projectile and flings it at Tal like the coin he used. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
And
Double
I get cut in
headbutt.
half and I die.
Again.
So
And then I die.
Tal, you go to catch this with your high acrobatics and everything. I'm not gonna make you roll for it.
Hands.
You go to like whoa, and it kind of just hits you in the chest, and you try to catch it. You're like, oh god, okay. And you look down at it, and he's just like, I feel like you all could. This will come in handy for you all. I'm sure it'll learn a lot of interesting stories with you all. I'm in no rush to get it back.
Learn?
Just don't break it. And kind of waves you off. Have a good night, and closes the door behind you. So, Tal, in your hands, is a wooden crown.
Huh.
Except it bears elaborate carvings on it, depicting, like, as you start like turning it, it's like this like tale that's being told in its carvings. It's ringed with images of this kingly like figure. And as you kind of like look at it, it tells a story of a forgotten king who once loved his subjects so much he was willing to give his own life energy for them. And as you kind of like look at it, it's like that little kingly figure giving more and more of himself to a throng of like needy subjects. This is called, since we give each other magic items here without needing to really roll for it, it's called the Crown of the Companion. And wearing it gives you a +1 item bonus to diplomacy checks. But additionally, you can activate it once a day, 2 actions, and I will share this with you in a little bit. Once per day, you bow to an ally within 30 feet, creating a magical bond between the two of you. You cast shield on the other targeting the ally. Shield other targeting the ally, and that link then remains even if you move more than 30 feet away from them. At the end of the spell's duration, your ally recovers 4d8 hit points, and you recover half of what they recover.
Cool.
It is really cool.
Whoa.
It's a super
Everybody's
cool.
like, thank God.
Right?
I know, Tal, you caught it. It is not. You can absolutely distribute amongst yourselves. And then with that,
Tal hands it to Ark.
Ark hands it to Erfa.
No, I think you should use it.
Erifa hands it to Hidiak. No, I'm just kidding.
Hot potato.
I do not believe this is best made for me.
Why? You're the most analytical when it comes to combat. or things of that nature, you would know who would need it most.
Which is precisely
can't
why I
cast
do
this-
not think it is made for me, and I am handing it to Arfe.
But we can't cast it. It targets other people, though. So if you want Erfe to be the one to stand the longest, as I think you've said before.
Because I haven't shared it with you, and I will share it on Roll20 in a moment. It does give the most amount of hit points to the target, and it shields the target.
And the
but
target
then
is
you-
other, not yourself.
And then you do get half of that, though.
Right.
Ark, like, looks up at his hat already.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
His fancy hat.
giant hat.
Super goofy hat.
Right. Super, so goofy. Love
Which
it.
you all know he could have shifted it like magically if he so chose, but yeah,
Totally.
there it is.
He thinks about it. What Tal said, though, and is like, it makes sense to him. So they take the hat off of their head and hold both of them to Erfe. Which one?
Amazing.
Oh, which one?
I don't know what your hat does off the top of my head.
What's your
Hat of the
fancy hat
Magi. So what we'll do
Yeah.
is we will share these with you so you can make these decisions.
It's somewhere. I
yeah,
mean,
I-
yes,
Oh,
it's a
plus
fun
one item bonus to Arcana.
I already know that the minute that came up, Erfe was like, she felt like that's something she should have because her focus is to heal people while everyone else, wrecks face. But hearing her say that Ark is the most analytical and knows when to use it, she backs off immediately.
Ooh.
Oops, did I do that?
The hat of the Magi gives you a +1 to Arcana and allows you to cast Prestidigitation as an innate spell.
Yeah, she would. I think the healing is better for me to use. Arcana's your thing.
So you disagree with Tal?
I do. Yes.
Ark.
Not on the
Like-
analytical side. I mean, you think through things a lot more clearly.
Ark will turn back around and hand it to Tal.
The
The
hat.
crown. If you give it to me again, I'll keep it. If you give it to Arfe, then that's the choice.
Tal just stands there holding it betwixt their hands and just lets out a very, a deep sigh, but then does take, is trying not to be a little bit frustrated, but then just kind of, takes a moment to really think through it and try to be a little less emotionally responsive in the situation.
And in that silence, if I can, Ark will say, I would likely use it better.
Nim to the side of you. You hear in his little voice, in their little voice, go, better doesn't mean more, most effective, so, I mean.
Can I hear that?
Nope.
Okay.
Can I?
Can Tal?
I think in that moment, if Ark says that, she'll go, then you should give it to Ark. And she'll actually start to just walk away.
Ark will hold his hand up for it.
Hal doesn't feel as confident about it now, based on Erfe's response, but is still going to stick with their initial gut and hand it to Ark.
Okay. Ark is going to put it on and hand his hat to Tal.
Tal's immediately going to hand it to Hideaki.
Hideaki will take it.
Exchange.
What an evening!
Oh, perfect. As this little circle of just standing around passing this hat around continues and eventually landing on Hideaki. At that note, the audience, pan to the office the building in which Janatimo is in, where he is just looking through a quarter of the curtain, and we just watch as he goes, oh boy, okay, as he steps back from it, and at that we will go to break.
Amazing.
Good.
Fucking kids.
Listen, leave it to us to turn a simple conversation. Do you want this hat into like something that has emotional weight?
Meanwhile, with that, we return. Hat arguments are had. And with the lovely closing argument from Hideaki, which is, I'm gonna put this hat on and walk away. Our eventful evening comes to a close. Following day, your classes are had. Unless you want to, I'm opening it up a little bit. You have some classes the following day. This is going to be something you're doing between your classwork. So I want you to tell me. I mean, you also can skip class if that's what you choose to do. But you have a mix of possibilities of what you want to pursue. So I would like you all to tell me what's going on.
Let's see. I don't know if everyone spent the night at the Sprout House or not, but Hideaki's pretty much moved there entirely at this point.
Hey, ciao too.
Hey, and on his door, on the inner side is Kazushi's letter, a copy of his letter to his dad, and like on his desk is like a collection of like a bunch of different letters, but he places something new on his door, which is this thing, and he ties it
from Janatimo.
He ties it on there and kind of points at the word united. That's the path. Let's go. That's how he starts this day. That's how he starts every day.
But you just put it up there.
From here on
dude,
out.
what the hell?
Just sitting on the beanbag chair in the corner.
Right, yeah.
I've been here the
I
whole
want my
time.
hat back.
So tell me, is everybody at the Sprout House this morning?
I'll say yeah. Ark's there unless it gets really loud at night, and then he leaves. And he doesn't make a show of it. He just gets up and leaves and goes to the dorm room.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Ari's kind of moved there too at this point.
Perfect. Yes. Amazing. I will say, if there was any kind of hesitation throughout the past little, awkward couple of weeks, after this last night, each of you have made that official decision to whether it's move the last bit of your stuff or just kind of confirm the new residences as you all enter the Sprout House officially. So this morning, gathered together, what is the plan?
Can I ask a small question, Jim? Can we go if we're all moving into the Sprout House, or basically, can we go on a super small tangent and explain what a night would normally look like? I have my very specific reasons for art, is why I'm asking. Do people just sit in their rooms? Are we sitting around a table eating together? Like what is it, But I don't. Not an hour,
I would love this.
Yeah.
Me.
Go for it.
I want to chase this. Please, let me at it.
I think, at least for me, given how bad things escalated when we missed dinner or breakfast that one time many, many moons ago, Hideaki would have insisted, for sure, for every evening, as long as they can, to be together.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I know IRFA felt super bad about that day, so.
And I think, so something that we don't have to commit to doing right away, but I have a small idea that's been percolating in my mind. So, there's something that I've been missing the last little while, a few months or so. And I think back to a particular moment in our time together at the circus.
When Arafe passed out.
Before that, he completely just responds and moves on.
Real quick, is this the evening before or is this the morning of?
The evening before. It'll be quick, I promise. I think that we should bring our particular brand of cotton candy to the Magaambya. And I think we should do it together. Why? I miss cotton candy. One, I miss cotton candy because it's amazing. And I thought it might be something cool that we could maybe add some particular magical flares to. And it's an extracurricular thing that we can do together. Now, feel free to tell me that I have a horrible idea and it's not worth your time, but that's my pitch.
Why do you... I mean, it's just a sugary candy. Why do you want to... Why?
Because, well, speaking for myself, it was maybe the first time that I think my brain got a little bit of a break and I wasn't thinking about moral decisions and mortality and saving or not saving school.
So you don't want... So it's just a reminder.
Well,
because it wasn't the cotton candy, it was going to the circus.
Yeah, I mean...
We should start
a circus. But think about it. I mean, we can build a trajectory to that, I suppose. We've done more ridiculous things than that, I think. But maybe it's a reminder for me. But it could be something else for somebody else. I don't know.
I think if it's a reminder for you, you should absolutely try to do it. Maybe you should talk to Chizire. I think that he would have a really easy way to make something like that. I mean, I've seen a couple of people make it before.
But it was
cotton
something I wanted us to do together.
Are we eating currently? This is Waffle asking.
I imagine we could be, right?
Yes.
Like, do you think you would probably bring like
let's
food
bring us out of the Sprout House to well, typically it doesn't make
your tea dinner.
Yeah. Sure, you'll have some snacks. It's not
we
dinner.
have some takeaways.
We're sitting around a table doing something like this is the reason we get together. Is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
When this conversation goes on a little bit, Ark kind of like nods at it and says, I think it is a good fourth plan. Everybody's busy with a lot of things. Also, I'm done. And he's done with his snacks and stuff. And so, as he's done almost every night, once he's done, if he is not actively talking, he gets up and begins to go away. And it's becoming like a routine thing.
Do we know what they do after they like get up and like leave the?
They just go to their room and they're really quiet. Like if y'all have ever peeked in, he's probably on the floor writing or something. But otherwise, he would like expect to see y'all in the morning for all this stuff.
So that evening comes to a close. Waffles, you had something you wanted to discuss?
No, I wanted to like get down the routine because I think it's important because Art does like some very particular things that I don't know how the other characters would react to, as in like if we eat dinner and then they sit down and talk for another hour, he gets up and leaves.
Okay.
And such and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will
Anything
say
else?
the first few times that Ark does that, Arifai kind of gets thrown off because, again, she's an emotional thinker and thinks he's upset and then figures it out that it's not that.
But he's also done it before in like the cafeteria, so
Yeah.
like it doesn't surprise Hideaki at all.
Yeah.
It's fair if, you know, in the initial moments, especially as y'all are moving into the Sprout House and it's a bit more like apparent because of the common room and there's not other people and all that type of stuff. Like, if you're at first you're processing, it's possible that maybe like Arife, you see Tal's face may have a similar sort of reaction at the beginning and like until it becomes something that's patterned, until it becomes something that you all recognize, oh, okay, this is just Ark's routine.
Yeah, I think from Tal's perspective, the initial, I don't think that they're super surprised at the like seemingly quote unquote sudden, up and leaving. I mean, I think it catches them similarly catches them off guard because like we quote unquote we are in the like a middle of a conversation, but that doesn't necessarily mean you were part of that conversation,
Yeah.
And I think after like maybe to kind of zoom out just a tiny bit after a couple of nights, I mean Tal may have just like come to the door to see what you were up to, not trying to like interrupt anything, but to see if you perhaps just to broach the question of like, do you want company or anything, like just broach that topic.
Yeah, he's on the floor writing. Are we doing anything?
No, I was just going to read. I just never thought to ask if you just wanted to be alone or if you just wanted to be in here.
You want me to come out there and write while you read?
No, I wanted to see if I could come in and read while you write. I could sit in the chair or in the corner.
Why?
I just wanted... Sometimes I can focus a little better if I'm with other people. And I like Hideaki and Arife a lot, but sometimes I don't want to talk when I'm reading, and they like to talk a lot. Or they're a little loud sometimes.
So no talking.
Yeah. Just being.
I don't see why not. Sure.
Okay.
Oh, amazing.
So that
Tal
probably
would-
happens every now and then just to add
Yeah.
a little bit to it to kind of double down on like what I think I'm trying to get at is y'all over time, since a lot of school time is passing and stuff, would notice that Ark doesn't really stick around unless things are happening. He has to have a reason to be there, and the reason is not to talk around a table, you know? So like if we're
But I will say for our current purposes, this is the first night. Like I know time has passed in the
Yeah,
previous,
yeah,
but this
yeah.
is just the first night, so we will get to
Right.
that as we get to that. So I ask you now, what are we doing as the morning comes?
Art points at that sign and says, "But you just put it up," and then we leave, right?
Hey, we're
Start
back.
bringing it back around.
Bring it back around. Hey, hey, hey.
So, should we go to the Anadi or the city?
Well, we've got classes today, right?
Oh, I mean, after, of course.
Okay.
It would be interesting to get the Anadis' perspective as to why they think they're here.
Mhm.
I'm sure other people have asked them, but it wouldn't hurt to get their side.
What if they lie?
Well, maybe we can be a little. Maybe we can see through some lies. I don't know.
Is there ever a time it would be worth it to not talk to them, to not have our thoughts skewed when collecting information?
I mean, I think it's more of just an additional data point right now.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a point on the circle, but not necessarily defining the whole thing. Maybe.
Those circles.
It's always
It's a
good to
lot
have
of
as much
circles.
information as we can.
Yeah.
I'd also like to look. I don't know, something about that gazebo in the center of the school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's a reason that everything's being attracted here, and if Stone Ghost didn't do anything to it, then it must be something that's already here. And that's the
Like
most magical thing
underground?
that I can think of. No, the gazebo. I guess I read about it while we were doing other things, but it's exceptionally magical. It's one of the first things that was built in this school. It's I can't believe that we haven't been there more.
The,
Sure.
the
Metagame. Metagame reasons.
the Magaambya and Natabu are built in a circle, correct?
Right, with this
Yep.
the gazebo being in the center of
And
all
the-
of it.
and the
So
bugs
it
were-
feels important.
Drawing magic runic symbols.
Mhm.
Yes.
What if the Magaambya or Natabu itself is a type of like magic circle?
That could be.
I mean, it's possible.
Sure.
Especially with the 10 statues that have their own magical portions in them.
Mm-hmm.
Tal, did you research all 10 of those as well, or did you really focus on the gazebo?
Ark starts walking away because he's going to be late for class. Sorry.
Yeah, Tal kind of I think is going to walk and talk a little bit because I think Hideaki and
Yeah,
I think Hideaki and Tal and Ark share some classes if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll say this is a lecture you all share.
Yeah.
Arafe
I do
does
not.
not. Yeah.
So I guess
We can like walk most of the way and then we'll split.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Arafe,
You
you
should
have
already-
class with Karide coming up.
Oh,
Have fun with
good.
that.
Good.
Does it bug you?
No! No!
Yes.
My vibe has gone down again.
I didn't do too much research into the statues specifically, except that they're, I think, inspired off of the 10 warriors of Jatembe. And I'll just kind of like go over a little bit of the stuff because I didn't do a deep dive into that stuff because I was focused very much broadly on the school. But like the stuff that I learned that there's
it was an option and you did not
I didn't,
read.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Right. But that there's like 10 buildings that are in the school that are also representative of these 10 warriors, and that there's like, you know, the Ibex, who was the person that was talked about in the masking ceremony, was also one of those 10 warriors, and the thing in the center of the school is super magical and like was the first thing that was created in all of the Magaambya, and like that very general stuff.
He is just like smiling and just like absolutely enthused. The deeper the rabbit hole goes, he loves this shit.
Another thing that we could do is if the Anadi are being pulled by something, just going for a walk around the school to see where they go.
Ooh, surveillance.
The thought kind of hits you as you say that, Arafe, that you are not all that familiar with, like, even though you've been around, like, the school, it's not the biggest school, but, like, you haven't been seeing them in your classes.
No.
You're not quite sure where they've been hanging out.
Secret.
So I think talking to them is a good idea, but we can also just
tell them before we
go
talk
for a walk and just meander to see where we go.
Well,
If
do we
there
want
is
them
a
to
magical-
know that we're okay?
I
So
mean,
then
I don't feel like it's a good idea to walk
not?
and go, hey, we think you're being pulled by magic, want to walk with me and just see where you go.
Well, they kind of
That
already
feels a
think
little
that,
weird.
right?
Why wouldn't we want to tell them if we think they're being affected by magic? Wouldn't you want to know?
I mean, sure, but to kind of
Go ahead.
R2's point.
Oh, no, go ahead.
To R2's point, maybe it's something that they don't know, and maybe just like observing them before we straight up ask them might be an interesting sort of way to find out some information before we talk to them.
Also, we've had conversations with people in the past where we thought that magic might be leading them and they weren't happy about it. Remember, Tal? When we talked about fate and you got fairly upset that the choices weren't yours? They may react the same way.
There are also magics that hurt if you go against them.
True. Well, I guess
So-
I shouldn't say true, I don't know that, but I
Are
assume
you-
you're right because you said it.
Are you okay with hurting them by telling them?
No. No. I
As
guess
this
not.
conversation kind of goes to this beat, Hideaki, you think of a deal you struck. My thoughts do go absolutely to that as soon as Ark mentions it. Continue.
What if we blindfold them and see where they go?
I feel like that would be scary.
That definitely we would need to talk to them before that.
Yes. We'll tell them that they're going to be blindfolded and we'll follow them so they're safe and we just see where they go.
Make me, all of you, as you're having this discussion, as on your way to classes, as Arafe needs to split off in a moment to her own classes. Let's. I
would like to roll
Okay.
a die.
let's all do some form of magic. I would like you could pick whatever form you'd like to represent. So you can go with occult theories, you can go with arcane theories, you can go with primal theories, whatever you would like.
Or
We're going
with
occult,
my
baby.
new hat.
Yeah.
My new hat.
I'll say I'll go for. Can I do religion
Yes.
That is
Okay.
divine magic, technically.
for
That is
divine
divine.
magic check? Since
Arc?
I'm the
What the fuck do-
Ark is actually going to lean into occultism.
Nice.
Join me. 25.
26.
26. What would you roll, Hideaki?
Arcana.
What did Arcana?
17 for occultism.
17.
17 for religion.
Amazing. Okay. You are having this discussion as you are walking, and a couple of things come to mind. When on the Arcana side, especially, so I'm going to say for the high rolls for you, Hideaki, one of the things that you consider in all of these, I'm kind of just respond to the theories that have been kind of put out or suggestions that have been put out. Taking somebody and, having them walk around with you, is an option. However, that like subconscious magic, if it's not an active thing on their part, would make that very hard to know, because like if they knew what was drawing them, they would be able to tell that to you. So this is going to be something that's more subdued. So how will they really be able to tell you, oh yes, this is somewhere, if they walk around with you? You're a little like unsure about that with that high roll. On the occult side, Taliatia, you also are very familiar with different kinds of magics. Again, you're not sure exactly what this is. There are many, many theories, but one of the things that you're thinking of from what everyone's talked about is, will telling them or something affect the situation? Can it hurt them in that regard? And you're thinking that to an extent, they came to the Magaambya and said outright that something is pulling them there. Mm-hmm. You don't think that asking them about that necessarily, because you're kind of thinking of different curses and things like that, typically they would just be able to not say something before they, say something and accidentally hurt themselves or anything like that. So you think that there is a route in which you could safely ask them about things without inducing damage, right? Like it's overly cautious in that regard to do that ahead of time, because they've talked about it a little bit themselves. And then both you are, which one you rolled occult as well, and then 17 with religion. With those rolls, I think nothing strikes in particular aside from the theories that you've like been throwing out there. But even with the 17, each of you are struck with the thought as you're thinking about the Anadis that you, like maybe you've seen them in like one class or another, but you haven't seen them all that much around campus. And even though you've moved to the Sprout House now, you haven't seen them like at your dorms, and already you don't really know exactly where they are. And maybe on the subconscious matter, whether it's religion, whether it's occult, whether it's arcane, that if there is some sort of pervasive magical effect, what's to say it's not already gravitating them towards something? Mm-hmm. And simply maybe finding them will be the start.
Should we ask Teacher Oth where they are?
Good place to start. We're going to see him in about 5 minutes anyway.
So it seems we are definitely doing the Anadi.
You can start
first.
All right. See you after class.
All right.
Proceeds to walk to the same class with you.
Erica is not going to class.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to throw an additional curveball your way, Airface, so feel free to pick and choose. Tell me as you don't go to class, where do you go? Like, what direction?
Well, so she's supposed to be going to her Rain Scribes class. Mm-hmm. After the past few days, she just does not feel like dealing with Karide. Like, it just does not want to do it. And honestly, it was one of those, like, she was trying to debate whether or not she wanted to go to class, and she was gonna go and just sit outside the Tempest Suns. Again, she never goes in. She just kind of sits outside of it, usually. Mm-hmm. But after the conversation about the Anadis, she's just gonna go class to class and look in to see if the Anadis are in there.
Okay.
Nice!
Because she wants to actively avoid going to class right now.
Amazing.
She's already taught the class. Why she gotta go?
Girl!
Sips. Spit take. So one of the things, as you are going out and about, fun, if not also, good and bad in this situation, the Magaambya is not the most like, yes, classroom 24B is this class at this time. And so many people like to lecture outside, especially before it hits the rainy season. So many people take a class all sorts of places. So for you, this is truly
This is
gonna
a
be
meander
like,
and look.
I'm gonna
and
go
see
around
what I come
campus.
across. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So given that, go ahead and make me a perception check.
All right. Flex perception.
There it is.
I'm gonna use a hero point because I'm not doing ones.
Hey,
Yeah.
get him out of here. Get out of here.
That was so much better. 26.
Let's go.
26. I love this. I want to look something up really quickly. So while I am looking up, and I'm going to keep that 26 in my head, what are the 3 in class? Are you all just going to attend class? Or is there anything else? And it's okay if there's nothing else. I just want to check.
Arc is
If you're going to...
unless one of them like try to drag Arc into something, Arc is very specifically there to attend class. He will not be skipping.
And
Alice.
not that you have to skip, but there is, like, you are in class with Teacher Ott. So
Yeah.
if that is something you wanted.
Tal is in class, but is like the whole time in like their notebook is like writing out different thoughts that they're having or like different theories that they have about like what in the world these Anadis could be up to, what in the world is potentially what it was Stone Ghost lying, different, just kind of keeping their mind is absolutely not, they have no idea what the hell is going on in class today, but they are here, they are present, quote unquote. And they do intend to ask Teacher Ott where after class where the
Hiyaki's also having an ADHD day, and is
Teacher Janatimo was like, class was important. Everyone's like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Listen, I went to class just like they said.
The answer is 47, right? And it's less writing, like, well, in comparison, I should say, no writing. 100% just talking over Noza. Like,
excellent.
like,
What in what
idea
direction are
didn't
you?
work. No problem. All good. It's okay. No big deal. Other things. In the meantime,
So you just like
nice.
on different pieces? Are you thinking about anything with the like the Anadis specifically?
He sort of like went, wild with it yesterday. Thanks to Janatimo. And I think it's more his focus is less so on the Anadi and more of what could be after this. Where is this going to lead us next? And that's really exciting because it's like, finally, look, we're doing it.
All right. So we're gonna come back to you, RFA, with your 26. You're going around. That's a very good roll. You are headed through the campus. You pass by the building where Teacher Ott is in his love Teacher Ott, but he's totally someone who's going to just lecture in his lecture hall. He is. So you pass by the building. They're inside, and you kind of see them through the window. You see Tal absolutely distracted writing in their notebooks, and you kind of pass by. You don't see the Anadis in there. You see a couple different lectures happening in different lawns. You don't fully see the Anadis there yet. Eventually, kind of, that everyone has like shifted schedules and it's different timing, but at some point you do see a individual that like they actually just kind of pass by, like you're walking in the inner courtyard and you see somebody that like passed by with between like two buildings over there, like kind of far away, but something about it like kind of catches your attention. Perhaps it was the denotion with your 26 of the vitiligo of their skin, and the light hair that you've seen once before. That was Teacher Lisetti. Interestingly, as they pass by, you also see this form, this sort of like secondary form following them. It's glowing a little bit, and roughly humanoid in shape. Has these bright feathered wings. And it was too quick, that's all you saw.
Oh.
Ooh, shiny, and it's got.
So I actually had this thought a little bit earlier. Is Lisetti one of the, what are they called, the learned ones? Is she the leader of one of the...
Hold on, I actually made a list of all the learned ones because not all of them are provided.
She feels like she'd be one.
Right?
I always thought she was more like
Yeah, lore speaker.
Okay, here we go. No, she is not. No, she is
Okay.
not.
Okay.
So the thing that is kind of, again, infamous about the Magaambya is, yes, there's so many amazing teachers and so much magical information to be had here, but because the Magaambya so much encourages, like, yes, go help people, go do things, like, usually your mentors are going to be all over the world and they're really hard to track down because everybody's traveling and doing stuff all over the place all of the time.
Right.
Okay. Well, if it's not too much of a side quest here, she has been waiting for her to come back since the whole Tal ordeal happened.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't look like she's trying to avoid people, Arafe's gonna go after her.
Yes!
Okay. Yeah, so you kind of duck away from, like, oh, okay, you're kind of doing little circles around the different areas of campus. You'll duck after her. She was just walking, seems to be from like the other side. You just happen to catch her with your 26. So let me actually pull her up here again, cause I want to remember what she looks like.
Is Tarnay with her?
Who?
Her little Leshy friend?
Leshy.
Oh, I forgot. No. They are not. It is, no, the other figure you saw was definitely not a Leshy.
Yeah,
This
no,
thing was like kind of floating off the ground.
That's fine.
So you kind of go back through the building and try to catch up with her. You can do a little jog, and you see her there. You get as you approach a much better view of this humanoid thing next to her. It is feathered wings, glowing eyes, and a halo over their head.
It's an ASMR.
And around their wrist is a glowing symbol that surrounds them like a bracelet. And as you call out for Teacher Lisetti, and she turns around, she goes, "Oh, hello." And you watch them turn in tandem. And you see a similar glow of this sigil around Teacher Lisetti's wrist. And you're struck with the familiarity of the movement of eidolons, like you've seen with Overnoza and Hideaki. Except this is no dragon eidolon beside her, but some form of celestial being. And as she kind of turns and says, "Oh, hello. I do not remember what accent I had for her. Rip.
None of us.
It's fine. That was season one's problem. This is season two.
Season one's problem.
Whatever.
This is season two, Lisetti. So
episode 7.
He was early.
So I think we can give you a little bit of a break for a year and a half and 20 episodes later.
She kind of looks at you with a smile. Oh, hello.
I'm not disturbing you, am I? If you're busy.
No, I'm on my way. But I can wait. Can I help you?
Knowing Eidolons, she's also going to turn to the Eidolon and go, "Hi, nice to meet you."
This angel Eidolon, so to speak, with a slightly glowing form, just sort of silently nods down to you.
Yeah, she's not sure if all Eidolons talk like Overnosa does, but she's like, it's a living being. I should say hi, and not just pretend it's not here. I'm sorry. It's been a while, and I always wanted to say thank you for what you did for us.
Oh. You see her kind of think for a second. Ah, yes, the resurrection.
Just a fucking Tuesday for her.
It was 9 months ago. Been busy.
Well, I think you'd remember, pulling someone back from death, but okay.
It is no worries or problems. It is what I am here to do.
She's now realizing she chased this person down and didn't have a game plan.
Excellent.
Okay, bye!
Okay, bye!
How is...
Oh, no, good.
The young catfolk doing?
There's kind of a hesitation. I think as well as could be expected. Honestly. Struggling with it, but managing somewhat.
Okay. That is good. But you had a question for me?
And she's thinking back, she says, it's a bit of a weighted question that may not be an easy answer.
I appreciate the forewarning.
How do I become like you?
You were not kidding.
No, I know it's... I didn't really have a game plan when coming in here.
What do you view me as?
You're able to reverse death. And I know that's not something to take lightly or do often. But to be able to help people to that extent, that's where I'd hope to be.
Well, you are in the right place to do it.
Definitely.
Magical learning is a big part of it, but she kind of looks you over. What kind of magic do you do?
So I think on purpose she's just gonna trigger her curse.
Okay.
She'll just cast something somewhere with no real direction. So I guess maybe what she'll do is she'll connect to her, so she'll cast lifelink on her. And say,
you see her kind of touch her chest and look at you, and as the curse manifests for you and the little kind of tendrils slash roots and branches of life energy that pull from you downwards and out, what happens to the symbol of Pharasma when you go into your curse?
I've always kind of imagined that it becomes more smoky. So it's where I glow white, it turns into that blackish smoke.
Yes. Excellent. I approve.
And I guess what she will also kind of say is, so I share my life force to help people. The problem and limitation I know is I only have so much to give. So I need to find other ways.
Do you only have so much to give right now? Do you think over time you will give more?
I mean, definitely working on that, but no matter how much I have to give, there's still a limit.
There is always a limit. but I see you are connected to a deity, yes? She points to the symbol that's smoking.
Yeah. Pharasma.
Is there any sort of weight in that? The
psychopomp pumps it right into her head the minute she says it.
And you are interested in saving people?
Yes.
Pharasma is a good deity for that, being one who oversees such paths. Are you not satisfied with your connection to Pharasma as it currently stands?
To be honest, I've never really looked too far into it. As odd as that seems.
Well, I am back on campus for now. You see her kind of look around. I do not know when I will be called away. But my office hours, and she kind of gives you her office hours for the time being. I will see you then. And it's not quite a question.
Oh. Thank you for your time. And she'll wave at the Eidolon.
It again just does that same exact nod back, and you see that you've seen Lissetti before with her like platinum pale hair, and you know that she has no pupils; they are just gold.
Yep.
And they are glowing slightly. And it's at this moment that you're sort of struck with outside of the Eidolon connection. She has celestial traits of her own, and you do recognize her as an ASMR. And it just kind of strikes you as they both sort of, again, nod to you in tandem. I will do my best, because you are wanting to learn. But don't forget that limits are there for a reason.
I know.
And she'll turn away.
Right. And any thought of finding the Anadis have now disappeared. She will meander for the next time seeing, but there's a lot less urgency in that jump.
Given the wave, are you looking just to see where the Anadis are?
Yeah, I mean, we had the conversation of we don't know what classes they're in. No one's really seen them. So her thought process was, well, maybe I can pinpoint classes.
Perfect. I will say you do sweep around again, just carrying over as you continue to meander. Almost when you're no longer looking for them, you find two of them engaged in deep conversation, walking through campus, heading off in a direction that you haven't yet walked to. But they are deeply discussing something that they don't really even pay any mind to anybody else around them. And they don't notice what you notice, which is that a couple of people, whenever they turn a corner, kind of jump a little bit at their forms, which are still in their hybrid form, which seems to be what they prefer. So with that, I want to jump back to the other three in Teacher Ott's class. Was there anything in particular that you would like to gather in your time? Tal is taking a lot of notes. Is there anything else before taking not notes, I should say?
My own notes. Independent study.
Yes. So are you kind of just trying to continue to craft theories? Remind me what exactly your motivations are.
Yeah. What they're doing during class is trying to take all of the things that were brought up in the talks with Janatimo, everybody's theories, outlandish or not, and trying to find something that they haven't, some angle that they haven't looked at yet, or trying to, they're really stuck on that dang gazebo, and it's got to be more. It's got to be something. It's got to be something. It's in the middle of all these things, and then Ark saying something about the whole city's giant circles, and what if it's all a giant thing? And they're starting to feel a little bit like Hideaki now with a conspiracy brain, but like they're trying to connect webs.
Yes. I'm going to keep in mind that you are spending time on this, but you do not have any new pieces of information as of this current moment, and as such, I'm not gonna have you roll to like piece anything together, but I'm gonna just kind of make a note that you're sitting on these informations, and you're absolutely taking time to think about them. Ark, anything on your end?
No. Ark is learning purpose.
Excellent. All right.
I do want to ask, literally after class, though, I want to, like, once others kind of filed out, literally just want to walk up to Teacher Ott after, like, maybe, like, 0.2 seconds of pleasantries, and literally just straight up ask him, hey, what happened to those Anadis that showed up?
Yeah.
Where I haven't seen them around. Where are they?
All three of you hanging back after class with this. Teacher Ott goes like, I believe they're trying out some different classes in the different branches for the early part of the last 2 weeks, but I believe they've been out and about. They have taken up residence here somewhere. I'll be honest, I'm not sure where they've ended up. Directly offered them some space in the dorms. They didn't seem too interested. They're worried a little bit. They've, from my understanding, some of the others are not the most comfortable around them, and they didn't want to continue that in a space for others in the dorms, make people uncomfortable, that is. So I believe they should be around somewhere.
Okay.
Super odd question. You wouldn't happen to have anything with, like, their scent on it, would you?
Their what on it?
Their scent.
Oh, no. Do what? No. He's like,
Didn't think so?
Why would I have?
Yes, I know it was odd. I know it was. Stop it. I know it was odd. I'm just ruling things out.
I know one person that obviously would not be adverse to their forms would be Strands of Glowing Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for them, perhaps she might have an idea.
That was my next guess.
After class,
as we leave, Ark will give a little nod and a bow and say, "Thank you for helping them."
you see Teacher Ott kind of like, oh, yeah, well, you kind of made his afternoon classes. Like, oh, okay.
Is Teacher Ott just Mr. Feeney? Like, come
100%.
Yes.
When we get to the series
That's
finale,
cool.
like,
Let's
and it's
go.
just like, class dismissed, I'm gonna, like, just start bawling. Like,
oh,
Android meets world. I'm ready for it.
this
Hey,
show is never
let's go.
ending. What are you talking about?
I know, right? Yeah, you're not wrong.
In 20 years.
Yeah, right. By the way, Teacher Ott, Teacher Janatimo is both really cool and really weird, and I'm a fan.
I am too. And he definitely gets a good chuckle out of that because he knows that's his mentor.
Cool.
All right, you all meet up wherever you were going to after class. And if you would like to kind of put together, and I'll kind of move forward with it a little bit, you cross paths with Strands of Glowing Dawn, who says that they've been taking up residence, not so much residence, but there's a building on campus, they seem to be very comfortable outdoors. They haven't seemed to be like settling into any building yet necessarily, but she has noted that whenever she goes off to like find them, that they're by the Hababe building, which is a little used building on campus, kind of off to the side. So you are able to, with that, and then no one's really had classes in the Hababe building amongst you all, but with Arafe's previous sighting of them in the direction that they headed in, you're able to put that together and hunt that down relatively easily. And so I will say, like, in as afternoon to evening, whether you have some other classes, we'll kind of bring it over to between all of these pieces, you are able to identify that's probably where you're going to find them.
As we kind of gather all that information, Hideaki will kind of reach into his robes and take out a very familiar small onyx figure of a dog. It's like, well, here's my next brain. Maybe better look next time.
If only we could have used perspiration.
Took me a second longer than I wish.
That is 100%. I wanted to make sure we bring it back for season 2, everybody.
I already forgot the real name. Is it Precious?
Yeah, I was like,
I haven't.
I think I called him Precious.
Yeah, it was presence.
Presents.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Presence in the future.
And then became
Permission, yes.
presentation and permission
Moving
and produced
Pilates.
and
Yeah.
Yes.
Pilates. Yep.
So, is there anything you would like to do before you head over to talk to the Anadis? Are you not talking to them? Are you, like, what is your approach? You tell me.
So we're all together now, I assume?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so are we just doing the talking, or are we wanting to surveil for a while and see what they do first?
I will go as you talk. As you all talk.
Okay, that's an idea.
I think we should just talk to them. I honestly think that, I don't know, I think Janatimo is being a little, it feels like they're a little suspicious of them. And I mean, I guess
You
to an
think so?
extent, I don't know.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, this feels a little weird.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree with Tal on this one.
Really?
I do.
That came out as like I can't believe you agree with Tal. That's not what I meant. I meant more. I was just okay. Yep. Cool. Great. All right. Cool.
I think Teacher Janatimo just wants us to solve it.
Yeah.
And that is not giving us any information.
Well, it's kind of par for the course.
You know, and I don't know
That's how
why
you
this
learn.
didn't spark in my mind earlier, too. Also, after we talk to them, maybe we want to talk with Strand of Glowing Dawn and her kids, too. Because if this is some sort of magic pulling the Anadi, she's going to feel something.
Well,
And if
she's
it's
already
not
here, right?
that, right, but you
Right,
know,
if
maybe
it
they feel
changed
something
or anything.
different.
Yeah.
And I
maybe
mean,
we
her
should-
kids are probably going to be affected more than the adults would. That's a complete theory and a complete shot in the dark, but
You've gotten pretty close to them, right?
Oh, yes.
Erife?
Yeah.
Maybe they would be more open to talking to you about it sometime?
yes, I mean, not right now. I don't know why I didn't think of it before.
I considered it.
What if we were to bring them with us? Having an Anati greet the Anati would not help.
As it's getting towards later evening, you do also know that, like, she is caught up with, like, the kids and
Yeah,
putting
the
them to
kids and
bed
stuff,
and
yeah.
things
Yeah.
like that. And it's,
Yeah.
That's Syrup saying you're not bringing them with. I don't want to have NPCs
let's
talk
plus
to
make
each other.
Our
Yeah,
fate
we
can
do
stay there and
this.
babysit the kids. It'll be okay. I'm done.
Great. Here's her character sheet star. You can just play her instead and just swap out. It's fine.
It's fine.
It might put her in a strange situation because it's not necessarily like she might not know them. So maybe we go and talk to them first. And
Okay.
Yeah, I did not think
Plus, I
she
think-
knew them. I believed that
Right.
she would just be a
Plus-
comfort for them. But I understand. That was
Well, look
Waffles
at you.
casting the line for the mechanical bonus that Paizo might throw in there for bringing someone.
Oh, nice. That's really
yeah,
funny.
like an anchor route
didn't-
situation.
Yeah,
Bring
yeah.
an anchor route to go see the yeah.
It made sense to me.
Yeah.
That's
Plus-
fair. That's very fair.
Plus, I feel like if they were drawn to this building too, like we'd certainly know that by now, right? Maybe.
Unless they don't know they are.
Not yet.
Maybe we go talk to them and maybe ask some questions and maybe get some answers. Maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do
Maybe we
it.
can just start with the getting to know them phase and
Sure.
see if there's anything else that we can glean from those conversations.
I also don't
All
think
right.
we can take a lot of time.
No.
I agree.
Very true.
So you are heading to the Hababe building.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
The Hababe build.
The hibachi girl.
You were hoping no one would say it, didn't you?
There it is.
Hababe, the Hababe building.
I mean, I'm not saying I thought of it, but it sounds like you did.
it's more
I
so just like
literally-
my full first time GM moment of like, oh, the players are butchering the names on purpose.
Oh,
I
this
see.
is what
Yeah,
that's how it goes.
feels
Milestone! You leveled up in GMing.
I mean, we
Congrats.
got to talk to Geronimo earlier, so
like.
Sure. Thank you. I've leveled up as a GM now. I
Yep,
will
yep.
take all those hero points from
Congratulations.
chat. Thank you.
Another
You already have them all.
You have the most hero points.
number
You've been getting
space
so
on
many.
the bingo card.
Okay, so you kind of go towards this lecture hall, which again is a little bit ways away. You know that this is just, you don't fully know like what this building was for. I mean, I will allow it with maybe like a recall
Wait,
knowledge check if
wait.
needed. What?
Wait.
What?
Maybe I saw something while I was looking up stuff about the school. Maybe.
Ooh.
Of the Hababa building specifically?
Building, yes.
Which building? Hold on, wait, Maria,
The
sorry.
Bubba
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 building.
No, not seen. I
Sorry.
definitely didn't read anything about the Hubba Bubba building. No, I'm
How
so
about
sorry.
the Hababe
Baba
building?
Baba.
Oh, the
Habba
Hababa building? Got
How
it,
about the
got it.
Hababa building?
We are
well,
children. This is the best.
May I make a roll
Emily
to
is.
see if I perhaps
Perhaps the rapper.
not this particular building? I know it's not one of the 10 buildings that the Warriors were a part of because I wrote those down.
Correct.
I
It is
legitimately
not.
forgot the name of the building for a minute. I was trying to write
Hababe.
Hababe building.
Baba.
It's like a kebab.
Composure, I
Or
have
hibachi.
it. You go ahead and make me a recall knowledge check.
Yes. Oh,
Guidance. No, I don't have guidance.
what with it? How do I recall knowledge? What do I do? How do I
What
do?
would you
Is it
like?
lore?
Do you have?
I have academia lore.
Do that one. Absolutely.
Great.
That one.
it is usually
That's-
society.
Great. Okay. If it's academia lores, I got a 30.
Sure.
30. Excellent.
Was that a natural?
So here's the
19?
whole book.
Yeah.
Love that for you.
So you're wondering what's the hubbub about the Hababa building. I
What's the
understand.
hubba baby?
God damn it! What is this show?
That's a
It's
hubbub,
the same shit.
baby.
It's always this show.
The
So
hubbub.
you, in your research on the school, know very definitively this is not one of the buildings from the Magic Warriors or anything like that. So you, with that 30, you absolutely have kind of come across this in just like different eras of like the school, and however, whenever you were doing your research, you just know that this is currently little used, but it contains like there's a storeroom and lecture halls and some spare offices now. It used to be where they held what is it called? Like the old storeroom for a lot of the alchemical supplies on campus, but it is no longer, like, that's long since been moved to the other building, and so it was part of the foundation of this building, so it's just kind of like it's still there with the lecture halls above it. So I will actually describe it as you go in so you can kind of place this in your heads and make it a little bit make more sense. The lecture hall right now is dark for the evening, but you see that there's these like front steps that illuminate by a lantern currently, but these stairs go up into like where the lecture hall seems to be. And on either side of the stairs are these lovely little statues that flank it, and then around to the side of it you see a, like, to the side of the stairs is to the bottom part of the building is a door. So it's like this like foundation is where the most of it was, and that was where the storeroom was, and then the stairs go up to the lecture halls above the foundation of the building. So it used to be for alchemical supplies, and it is no longer being used. As you approach, though, the lantern light that is illuminating the side of the front of the steps here is a lantern that sits on a log between several soft clumps of bushes, and there is I can read. I read it in a different order, and my brain just like broke it.
Page 2.
Yeah, okay. Although the lecture hall entrance atop the stairs is a grand double door, it's not the building's only visible entrance, and a smaller door behind the stairs is just illuminated by the lantern light. They're sitting on these logs to the side of this building is the 3 Anadis that you have saved. And they're sitting there once again, familiar to Arafe, locked in some form of discussion. Intensive discussion.
Are they sitting? They're sitting on the stairs?
They're not. They're sitting on like
to the
some
side.
logs to the side of the building, to the side of the stairs.
Okay.
Should we go?
Let's do it.
Do we want to interrupt them?
Tal is already 3 steps forward and is
Hideaki is
waving.
right behind
and,
you.
Yeah,
Yep.
and is saying, excuse me.
They are locked in discussion. They are not seeming to pay much notice to you. As you approach, you hear them start talking. They're like, well, if you pluck one thread of the spider web, it shakes the whole web, and it makes it aware of if there's a spider on there, then they know all threads that are being pulled. Right, but the threads of fate are not like that in that regard, because it could be that...
Oh my god.
And they are
Of course it's us
locked in some form of like 3 very esoteric 3-way discussion on like arcane theories, and it seems to be currently they're talking about strands of fate.
You hear behind you, you tell? Of course. Absolutely. Totally. Yep, of course.
I think Tal will like take Tal walked forward to get closer, but was like a decently respectable distance away. To be polite about conversation. As soon as they hear that, it's less that, and they're gonna take like a couple more steps forward and like, kind of raise the volume of their voice a little bit to be heard, and say, excuse me, I don't want to interject, but are you I'm interested in what you're talking about.
You see them like as they're talking, they're like they glance at you and then continue like they're like as because you're taking that time to like and try to get that piece out. So as you are trying to get your intent out, they are continuing some of their discussions and are like struggling to get interrupted by this.
Right.
You do note this, they are not from around here, and it's not so much they're being rude to you, as potentially this is of a different culture where these are very studious debates that are kind of in the midst of occurring. So I will give you one of two options. You can try to have your presence sort of like known enough to interrupt and have them actually break away from this conversation, or you can just try to slide right on in there and join the conversation.
That one. That's what Tal wants to do. After, the second one. I think after like a second or two of them like seemingly like acknowledging, the existence of at least Tal, but continuing their discussion. Tal is more interested in what they're talking about than whatever we came to ask them about. So I was going to just kind of slowly approach and just kind of like take a seat, not in their whatever circle that they have, but like just off to the side so that they can really hear what they're talking about.
Excellent. So you all three, the rest of you, are hanging back just a little bit as Tal approaches. No, you're not? Okay.
Absolutely not. I'm right behind Tal.
I refuse to be a lurky listener. I'm gonna get in so they at least know I'm there.
Okay. Ark, how about
Ark
you?
is hanging back unless someone else says something.
Okay. So Ark's hanging back a little bit as the three of you kind of approach. Tal has, at this point, after trying to interrupt, like, kind of just sits in and waits for that perfect counter argument to start entering into the discussion. What are the two
trying
of
to
you
assimilate?
I think it depends on where they're at. I think he's also trying to. I think he'll find a place to ask a question, but he'll let Tal lead.
Okay. And Arafe, are you kind of joining the conversation, or are you just listening?
I guess the thing that I would ask is, have I learned anything about Anadi culture from Strands of Glowing Dawn, her kids, that is useful here?
It is interesting because from Strands of Glowing Dawn's like experience, you know that her experience is unlike already what's going on here. Not so much because that they are from a different culture, but they've been around in this society a lot longer. And these individuals, which is why she uses her human form so much, because she knows it makes people uncomfortable. And she has like kind of made her way here to learn with her kids. But these individuals are very specifically like having just got into campus from wherever they were. And so you can definitely, I will let you roll like with a bonus on if you're trying to like pull on that knowledge just from some of that experience, but it's not going to give you like a major boon. It'll get like a +1 for it.
No, yeah, I guess it was just one of those of entering into the conversation in an appropriate way for them. If I knew anything, if I don't, that's fine. I'll just ask.
Yeah. A very good point. It's just, no, they seem to be very much locked in intensive, like esoteric magical theory discussions.
Okay. To be honest, her arcana's not great, so she probably is a little over her head, so she's just gonna be like, okay. Just gonna listen.
I will let you, you notice because of the esoteric nature of the conversation, as they are discussing it, and this is something that all three of you that are in this conversation will denote, you can lead the way with arcana as well, but it's more than just magical theory. It's also about discussing, like, causality and almost philosophy. So I will also let you go with society. So as you enter this conversation into a little bit more like listening in and having this conversation, you hear them talking about like, can you tell where the web of a spider begins and when it ends, or is it all once it has been laid out impossible to denote? And like this very very heady like philosophical, there is no right answer type thing. And as you're into this conversation, you realize, there is no right answer, and this conversation can continue if I don't lead it to somewhere of a conclusion.
Gotcha.
So with that, they are talking about threads of fate, the strands of fate, but they are also talking about like causality and those types of things. So what tactic are you all approaching to get their attention?
I think at the the most appropriate time that Tal can manage in this conversation as it kind of, it's not turning cyclical, but is kind of like not going towards an ending. At some point, I think Tal is absolutely entranced by this conversation. It's kind of losing themselves a little bit in everything and wants to completely discuss everything with these people. But at some point would just posit the question, well, what if the spider wanted to change its own web?
Well,
what if the threads could be moved or changed?
Well, that then brings up a whole secondary consideration on whether it is the spider's web and I will say Arafe and Hideaki, that question alone you can say has sent a whole new energy in through the group, actually.
Yeah. Tal did not ask the question to end the conversation. Tal is, it is very, very obvious. Tal is here.
And they do go is in this symbolical example the web one that the spider owns, or is it perhaps one part of a larger web in which it is not its own sole owner? If it is its own web, I see no reason why it could not reshape it to its whim, but if perhaps it affects others.
However, you had to also consider the outside stimuli, and perhaps another entity can just shear its way through.
That is, of course, you are referring to some deities?
Indeed.
Well, perhaps, but is this a world of just spiders, or is this a world of beings bigger than it that would allow for... And like the other one could say, well, yes, of course it is, because if you don't, then you're implying that there's not multiple planar aspects that you have to consider, and they continue to discuss. Arafe.
Arafe is just getting flashbacks of a spiderweb mask.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Realizing I still need to have that conversation with Tal.
Listen, there's also
Very
like
distracted.
Tal sitting here being like, damn, there's a book that I should have read by now.
Okay, so would you say Arafe is like distracted by some of these other pieces that are flashing?
Yeah.
Okay. Arc. Three of your friends who have come in here to interrupt and get these Anadis' attention have now sat down and begun joining the discussion.
We got sucked in. Oops.
Yeah.
I want to
Shocking.
take a quick, hilarious moment to denote in the book that absolutely the Anadis, this is not me making this shit up, the Anadis are currently deeply involved in an esoteric debate about the intricate webs of fate and causality. And I was like, well, I can't give that up.
I mean, of course not.
No.
It's right. It's,
No.
You gotta give it to us. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
gotta go straight to the forefront.
But
Threads.
side note aside, Ark, what are your friends are just continuing this debate?
Ark doesn't have friends.
That's
I'm
very
sorry.
true.
God.
Your
God.
fellow future
comrades.
members,
Classmates.
future friends,
Partners
You
in
said
crime
who?
or whatever.
Sacre bleu.
Sheesh. There's like 15 different things that can happen here.
Other options available, of course, is intimidation, or you can interrupt. Like you could do many things here.
I mean, Ark either wants to stand here or join. Well, first things first. Do they look like they're having fun?
Arafe don't.
Arafe does not. Well,
Teriyaki.
Ark, are you trying to read their like expressions, or how you telling? How you?
And why do you
not
care?
per-
Why
he's
do you
not-
care if we're not friends?
He's not purposely looking into it, but this is like a Waffles would want to. Waffles wants to perceive if Ark perceives if they're having fun.
Make me a perception check.
Love that.
I love it.
Emotions.
13.
Emotions. Let's go.
Are you sure you don't want to spend a hero point on
I just got one.
Yeah, he only has one.
You can with the 13. It's a mixed bag currently. Airphase does not look like they are enjoying themselves, but they're usually relatively expressive in that regard.
I've just kind of disassociated, it looks like.
Airphase like not really even in the conversation. They seem to be absolutely lost like in space. I think you, Tal, are you enjoying it on your face?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Tal's
This is the
deeply
first
into
time
it.
Tal has been able to talk, but besides like the one time with Murayama, this is the first time Tal has actually been able to talk with people who seem to be like wanting to talk about this stuff in like completely unrelated to the fact that Tal died, and that's the reason that Tal wants to talk about
It
this
has
stuff.
less baggage attached to it. Yeah.
Completely unrelated people want to talk about
By
fate
a web.
and threads and stuff.
What about Hideaki? Is Hideaki enjoying themselves?
He's like, so glad I read this book. Let's go.
Okay. And I will say with the 13, you have no clue about the Anadis because they're also not structured like humanoids that you're familiar with, and so you do not know how they express their feelings.
Yeah. And we're outside a building, right? Like on a log?
Yeah, it's literally sitting outside a building. Yeah.
Okay. And this is the Hababe building?
Yes, it is. It is the Hibabe building, indeed.
Okay. Art will begin to walk
How many
by.
times can we say it?
Oh my god, I'm so
I just
happy
gotta make
about this.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny. Chill. Ark will begin to
Oh,
walk
God.
by and kind of peek up and very loudly, and then if it doesn't work, we'll cast Bullhorn. But say, is your friend in there?
And where are you?
And he's
referring
pointing to the building. He knows there are
What
three
friend?
Anadis.
Yep.
There are two talking here.
No,
There's three
All
talking
three.
here? Oh, Waffles
Yeah.
misunderstood. My bad. Well, then Ark would kind of come up behind Arafa and say, but all of this discussion is moot based on thousands of different variables, correct?
Ooh, I love it. Can you make me an Arcana check for this? Oh, yes, that's a critical success. So you see them like and including your not friends that are at least discussing, who have been like, well, but if you think of it in this theory, then it would be this, and if this one is that one, and then literally you walk in and being like, but none of these matter because it's infinite possibilities, and you bring like the statistics into it with that like kind of one liner, and you see all of them kind of just, at least of the Anadis, go, well, and they don't really have like a response for that because this is the least statistical conversation like at all
Ever.
You did it. You found the roadblock.
Yeah, and they sort of like stutter to a lull in this, successfully absolutely kind of wrenching the flow of the combo.
Can I ask for a perception check specifically from Ark? Because I think it would be pretty easy to pick up from Hideaki and Arafe, but I want to see if Ark can...
9.
Okay, well...
Well,
All right.
I'm good at some things here.
There's a definite disappointment on Tao's face that I think Hideaki and Arafe can pick up with the conversation being like kind of
and scene.
Cut through with the parachute.
With shears.
Shut up.
Sheared through.
No!
Everyone, no one's allowed to talk anymore about fate except for me. Go on.
But I read the book, Maria. I read the book. I'm an expert now.
Okay. So, at this lull, with the debate now interrupted, you do know that you're able to ask these students before they strike up another conversation about some of the questions that you have for them. So, the floor is yours.
I'll take the floor. Because Hideaki internally was like, cool. Because I was about to pull us out anyway. Like, he's like, he was like totally fine. And then like, you see, he's like the disappointment on Tal's face, and he's just like, oh shit. But so you've had quite. It's been like what, 3 weeks since they've been here now? If I recall correctly?
Like 2, honestly,
2?
just a little bit. Yeah.
So, so you three have had quite a pretty wild start to your time here. How are things going? New digs, I see. Is this your new place of residence? How's that all going?
No, we come here and then discuss and debate, but no, we were thinking. They told us this was free and not being used, but we are not able to get into the building below. So we come here to just discuss. It has been interesting to see the different classes they offer.
So where have you been sleeping?
Oh, we are familiar with the jungle environment and make our home here.
Oh, but you still want to get in, right?
It would be like, and even though my voices are similar, like there's different ones are answering. It would be nice to have a place where the books and materials do not provided by the school do not get damaged. I think it would be good.
Like a dorm.
Yes, but we know that our presence makes others uncomfortable and would prefer to...
That's their problem.
Agreed.
He's not wrong.
I know easier
Nonetheless,
said than done, but...
Yes, we do not wish to make anyone uncomfortable. That is okay.
What sort of things are you excited about learning while you're here? Or what sort of things have struck your interest?
We are here to learn arcane magics, and so as long as there are arcane magics to learn, we are quite content.
Oh,
I
well,
can
what
teach
drew
you
to
many.
those?
Sorry.
Hideaki glares at R2.
Are you a teacher here?
Yes. And he's not lying. He's
not.
He goes on to say that he instructs some of Teacher Ost's classes, and he holds the combat school as well, which he sees as like a training class.
Do you clarify that you teach, but you are not a faculty member of the Magaambya?
He doesn't say that. If they ask, then he'll say no, he's not a faculty member. But like if they say, "Are you a teacher?" he says yes, and then says, "I do this and do this."
Okay, all right. And there are the different the levels. Are you a learned one, or are you
Attendance.
You are attendance.
But the learned ones have interest in us.
That's true.
Oh. Well, we do not have any interest in your combat classes, but perhaps if we choose to go to Teacher Arts classes or office hours, we can have you teach us then.
Yeah, you'll see us both a lot there.
You're lost.
Is there any particular type of magic that you're interested in?
All magic, as far as we are concerned, everything is very interesting to learn.
Including
agree.
divination.
Certainly. There are all very interesting facets amongst all the variations.
Understood.
And you can ask them direct questions like, "Why'd you come here?"
We're warming them up a little
That's-
bit.
That's what I was trying to get with an art, because he was going to be like, "So what do you specifically want to learn?"
Right.
I mean, Tal asked that question, and
Yeah,
then there was other people. I think Tal at this point would just straight up ask, so what brought you here? I mean, there's plenty of places to learn magic, and this place is prestigious, but there's plenty of places I'm sure that are closer to where you live.
Yes, they kind of look all amongst themselves. We are not sure. We felt the call of magic and knew this was the place that had the most to teach us about it.
Why did it have the most?
What do you mean, the call of magic?
We are unsure.
Did you hear about this place before? Or did you just wander here?
We lived deep in the jungle. We wanted to see more of the world, and so we came to Natambu. And we had only just arrived and only just learned about the Magaambya. And when we felt the call to pull us here. So we hadn't seen more than a handful of other humanoids until we came. And here we are.
So you did not know about the Magaambya school prior to Natambu?
Correct. We were traveling.
Yet you were led here?
Once we arrived here, yes. We felt a call to pull and learn here.
But you arrived here from your home through the jungle?
Correct.
Understood.
Oh, what does this pull feel like?
I'm not sure. Simply that we wish to be here. Or it feels direction, no? And one of the other ones pipes up. Sometimes I feel a pull. And he points to the storeroom over there. And thought that perhaps that was why it would make a good space for us. But I do not know how to describe it otherwise.
Is it sometimes? Does it change?
Correct.
So it is moving, thus likely a person.
I do not know for certain, just that it comes and goes.
Does it go or does it change direction?
Oh, it goes.
Understood. And it always returns into the same place?
It has only happened a couple of times. It has not happened recently. So I am unsure.
But is it always the storeroom? You said a couple of times, so two times to the storeroom? 3?
I would say twice after we arrived here.
To the
But
storeroom.
the first time was the
Yes.
Magaambya proper?
When we arrived in Atambu and first learned of the Magaambya, we did feel a pull to come here.
Was the pull only after you found out that it was in the Magaambya campus?
When we arrived in Atambu.
Okay.
So this is
So,
going to sound
close
like
enough.
a strange question, but was it... How long were you in the city before you felt the pull?
We had only just arrived.
So did you... I guess how far into the city did you start feeling this?
And like based on their descriptions, like you kind of managed to identify that it seems to be like really when they came into like the city, like it wasn't as particular, like into the area of the city there was not like a marker like from here on out, but it seems to be that they felt it when they hit the city.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, is the city surrounded by like a wall or anything?
Just water, right?
Not so much. So I mean, and the map is on Roll20 if you want to refer to it, but there is the long Vanji River that runs kind of beside it on one side, and then there's more land on the other side of it, but a lot of water obviously all around the actual city.
Yeah, a lot of like man-made canals, right?
Yeah, it's built around a network of canals.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of circles. Just circles. Just circles.
Less perfect than Maria's stuff.
My circles are not great.
Tau circles.
That's fair.
Beyond the occasional that call, I also have heard when time some noise, I think, from in it, but
Inside the store house?
and you see the other two Anadis kind of seem surprised at that, and they're like, "Oh, did you?" Like, you're like, "Oh, really?" Like, I was here at one point between classes, but I have not seen anybody enter or exit.
Cal is gonna get up.
Okay.
So we should go
And
in,
is
correct?
Tal's gonna do a walk around the building real quick to see if there's any windows or anything else that is like an entry point to this lower section.
Ark is gonna follow
Or-
Cal
Yeah.
because of the buddy system we've established.
Reading buddies, reading acquaintances.
Well, like when we did the
Right, yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
when
I'm
we did
trying
the
to make it
Sprout House.
almost friends.
Oh, no.
Listen.
not even close. Sorry.
I want to level up our social link, Ark.
You not even close. Ouch.
Minus 15.
No!
Get out and go. Yeah, you know the little system I have with Janatimo about like the if you make an impression on him. Ark has had that the whole time, and y'all are just
No,
like
it was a
negative.
secret.
Oh,
now it's
no.
not. Now I've got
Impression
now I've got a
points.
farm.
I'm actually a Sims character, but everything that gives me pluses and minuses changes constantly.
Instead of an
Literally,
ASMR
it's
hello,
not-
it's just a little.
You go ahead and make a loop around. You're looking for windows and things like that.
I'm looking for something small enough for someone like Nim to fit into.
Ooh.
Make me a perception check.
Can I perhaps get a bonus because maybe Nim can help?
If they successfully aid you with a 20 or more.
I'm gonna perceive like around Tal in this to make sure we're not in trouble, but I'm not helping look for windows.
Okay, so you're the danger watch.
Yes.
And you could roll basically one for Nim and one for you. Tell.
Okay.
14 for Danger Watch.
Danger watch.
Well, Nim got a 20, and I'm gonna hero point.
That's a
that.
successful aid. So that
Great.
gives you a +2 in our game.
Great. Well, that's a 15 then.
Okay, so you go around, and the way this kind of is established, again, there's like almost like a circular like lecture hall at the top of the stairs, but the rest of the building is that like foundational piece, and it is, there aren't even any really windows. It seems to be this like full on like just like storeroom base of this building, foundation turned storeroom. Aside from that one door that's like to the corner of the stairs, there's not, you don't seem to see anything.
Then I'll go to the door.
Okay. Coming back around, you, Erfe and Hideaki do see them go over to the door.
The one thing I
Anything
did want to
interesting?
ask while they were going around was, while they're back searching, she'll go, you know, we're very glad you're here, but I'm just curious, you say you feel this pull. When the pull's not around, do you feel like you want to leave?
No. We will stay as long as we are allowed to keep learning.
Because you want to learn. Makes sense.
And you bring in knowledge of your own, so we're lucky to have you.
You do like, you can tell just based on the reaction of like they sort of like click their mandibles a little bit and shift in ways that like you haven't seen them up until now, and this being something that you are a little bit more familiar with Strands of Glowing Dawn, they're pleased at hearing this, and I think a little bit surprised because I think they've not had the most warm welcome. There are students that have tried to welcome them and teachers, but their presence nonetheless, there are some that are just uncomfortable with the way they look, and so they are very warmed by that gesture. With that, you approach the door.
Hey.
Cool. Ah, the BBG of every campaign, a door.
It's a door.
John, what do you do?
I consult everything I own.
The sacred text.
The sacred
Uh-huh.
text.
Waffles will lift up one finger and say, somebody owns a key, correct?
Ah, that's a good point.
Someone does own a key.
I
I
have a
think
key.
it's Airfay. Yeah.
I have a gold key.
I do have a gold key.
Oh, interesting.
Odd.
Okay.
So yeah, she will go, oh, just a minute, and she'll like dig through her pockets and be like, this one.
Nobody
I guess
knows
we could try it.
but Key.
I'll like hold my hands for you to toss it.
Yeah, I'll toss it over to you.
Okay.
I mean, if it doesn't work, we can just try to break it. And I will
Yes.
try this random key that we found in a sprout house.
You approach this teak door. So we name our woods here.
Cheek.
I wish I knew what that looked like. I'm gonna look it up later.
He's spent.
This door, it's scratched and old. Like, this is definitely like an old used space. Yes, we name our woods here. Leave me alone, Kitty. Leave me alone. Then it's you see that it does have this brass lock on it. But it looks corroded. And relatively clearly inoperable. Like this door, like it's just corroded, like this little area. Are you trying the door first before you put the key in?
Given the state of it, yes, I'll give it a fair like hearty tug or push, depending on if I can see the hinges or not.
Okay. So you go to like turn the door handle. And like it turns a little creaky, a little like move. So you feel like it's not like it's latched shut necessarily. It might not be locked. So you turn it and you try to like push it open and it doesn't move.
Is it a pull door?
You pull it and it doesn't move.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Like I would do that too.
Listen.
You would though. You would.
Okay. So the lock is it's like old timey. The lock is in the door, right? It's not like
Correct.
a padlock situation. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll try the key just because RFA gave me the part of Tal doesn't think that it quite goes here because it seems a little too nice.
Brass,
but,
gold, like it's
yeah,
not,
but
it's not a good fit.
Tal will try it just to humor RFA.
You try it. It doesn't quite fit into this lock.
Okay. I'll like call back. I don't think it's quite it.
Fair enough.
And then I want to Grim Tendrils the door.
Oh,
Okay. What kind of damage does Grim Tendrils do?
I think it's negative damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is negative damage. Actually, I lied. I lied about the spell I'm gonna use.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Hang on. Now I have to actually think. Okay. Ark is the only one that came. Did Ark come up with Tal to the door?
Yeah.
I think at this point, I will say all of y'all have come forward, unless no. Is somebody hanging back?
Ark would. Sorry. Go ahead.
I think like if they're like hearing like the noise of the lack of opening, I think Yagi would get up and kind of say as he walks over, it's like we're gonna go. Like he'll look at the Anadis. It's like we're gonna figure this out, and say, "Do you want Overnosen to bite it off?"
No. And I'll take like a couple of steps back, and if like anybody is close by, I'd like motion for them to step back.
Yeah, Ark
and they're gonna
push other people besides Tal back, like not physically.
Hell
but-
yeah,
but-
not
but-
being
but
pushed
like-
by Ark is rad.
But let's back up.
Shove the
because-
sequel.
Yeah. I'll toss the key back to Arafay too because I don't want to. I
Fair enough.
It's
She'll put it back in her
in,
pocket.
in their
your
mind.
inventory,
it's
not mine.
Ark
Yeah.
casts magnetic
Oh,
attraction and steals it. No, I'm just.
Hey!
Not magnetic.
And
It's a
Got him.
I don't,
No.
I don't think it's magnetic. No,
Gold's
I'm
a
pretty
it's
sure
a
it's
metal
Okay.
object.
alloy.
All right, we're gonna
Not
pause
just
everything
strong.
until we figure this out.
Magic doesn't listen to your physics.
Tal looks at the door and kind of like takes a little centering breath and is going to reach a hand forward. And from their fingers, this kind of like golden light begins to come through their pinky finger, their thumb, and their middle finger. Excuse me. This kind of like golden light threads. Excuse me. The description is so emotional that I'm choking on myself.
It's the quality of the air.
No, this golden light kind of pools at the tips of their fingers, and then they point towards the door, and this golden light shoots out in 3 sharp, long, almost needle-looking missiles as they cast a 3-action magic missile at the door.
Ooh.
Okay.
Hideaki, you recognize the spell, but not in this flavor for certain.
I've never seen
But there is
flavor of Mountain
that
Dew before.
likeness. Yeah. Okay, so you do magic missile on that door.
The stance is very, very similar to the way that like kind of Hideaki, but minus like the slight air of like bravado that Hideaki brought into that last battle, but a similar kind of like stance because magic, you know.
Roll me the damage, please.
I gotta roll that damage, don't I?
Waffles knows this is
damage.
probably not great.
3.
He, as
We'll
Waffle
find out.
tries to stare at Syrup's face and get some inkling of what,
Insight?
what
No,
she's
I'm
thinking.
not even looking at my screen. This is the fact that most objects have hardness and magic missile does not do a lot of damage
Yeah.
singularly.
Well, it looks like
find
it's
out.
9 points
No,
of
I'm all
force
for
damage.
destroying Magaambyan campus
Me too.
property.
Yeah.
Like, please.
We're just getting the door open. God.
Yeah.
God.
It looks like
Should
it's
have
only
went
9.
easy.
This door doesn't budge. Magic missile.
Yeah. Yeah. you know.
ttrpgs.
9 points of force damage.
Sure.
Okay.
Mostly Tal
these-
just wanted to see if they could actually do it.
Yeah, these needles kind of like barrage into the door and start splintering the wood.
I was trying to aim for like the corroded door handle lock situation.
Okay, all right, yeah. You managed
Now, whether
to,
or
like,
not I get it,
I mean,
is, like,
no,
magic
listen,
missile can hit anything. So
Exactly.
Yo,
I will allow it magic
straight
missile.
up.
You
Excellent.
go boom, 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 and it's not finesse to the point of like a
right, but
you
that's
know,
like
a
the
needle,
area.
but it's
That's like
the area.
you know, the area.
The whole thing kind of like barrages into by the handle and the lock, and you see like the metal like even bend and kind of peel off, and like the one part of the door handle like nearly falling off of it at this point, like out of its like screws and hinges, as the door also splinters. What's up? What are y'all doing? Come on, it's the door.
does somebody else want to try before I break in?
Sure. But also, that looks really cool. That looks way cooler than mine. Nice.
Thanks. Why don't we just break it? Though I realized that was a little excessive.
Oh, I was gonna have Overnose to try to smash it.
That's a way to break it. Yeah.
Sure,
Cool.
go for it.
And I'll manifest Overnose. And it's like, you're up, big guy.
What are you gonna have him do? Like battering
Put
ram it,
something
so to
else in your
speak?
mouth.
It's a meme now. I'm just gonna have him try to bite it and see what happens.
Bite
it?
the door.
Yeah.
Trying to damage the door? You're trying to push it open, force it open.
I was looking at the lock, the corroded lock.
The lock right now is at this point like nearly fallen
Okay.
off. The intent from what I was describing to Tal is
Mhm.
the door handle seems to be turning. It doesn't seem to be locked, but
Okay.
the door
It's
is not
stuck.
budging.
Got it. Okay, cool. So
Have
then
you
in that
detected
case, yeah, I'm
magic
gonna
on this
kind
door?
of.
No, you have not.
Okay.
Can I cast
Um,
detect magic?
Sure.
You may, as Overnosa
Yeah,
does
as
what they're
Overnosa, like-
doing.
Yeah, let's do
I
it.
don't want to negate what Overnose is doing.
Yeah, yeah.
They
no,
acted
totally
first.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to have a dragon shoulder check a door because that sounds hilarious. But I'm assuming that's just still an attack roll, I assume.
So So for this, there is technically a force open action, and it'll going to be an athletics check. So you can have Overnosa do an athletics check for me.
Okay.
I'm enjoying this for the record.
I mean, this is great.
Just so you all know.
Should I put on some
This is
battle music?
Fantastic. Yeah, can we please put some battle music on, actually?
Fight the door!
The door.
Oh, cool. Yeah. God, he's really bad at athletics.
What's the hero point sitch look like?
Oh, as an aside, I don't have any hero points left.
Cool.
Okay.
Just
I'm
to update the.
Well, fuck it. Let's just see what happens.
Was that yes to a hero point?
Who, me?
Or was that yeah?
Fuck it. I'm gonna roll for it. Essentially, then.
Oh, gotcha.
It's a 14.
A 14.
Yeah.
Okay, you see Overnosa kind of charge up, and it's a little awkward just because of like his shape and trying to not get his wings in the way as he tries to shoulder check it, so to speak, as they ram into it. And you see the door go boomf, and it like tries to start moving, but it doesn't seem to be quite enough. But you do hear like some splintering against the wood as well.
We're getting there.
Shall I break it now?
Well, airphase detect magic goes off, right?
Yes, thank you. So you cast detect magic. Let me take a quick look here.
This music's popping off.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You go up to the door, kind of pulsing that outwards. Surprisingly, nothing major about that door feels magical to you.
Hooray,
about
we're
mine?
bested by a mundane door.
I said, what about minor?
No, it seems like, based on the thudding of the wood, it feels like there's like more wood there than
Like
just the door.
barricaded.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay.
From the
Come on, Ark.
inside?
From the
From
inside.
the inside, maybe.
Inside? Well, it's not from the outside.
I'm
'cause we're
seeing.
there.
I'm just seeing Star in the back and go. Wait.
Wait.
Barricaded from the inside? What?
Ark is going to go through all of his things that he has to do to be able to spell strike, which is like 2 prerequisites basically. Like he'll cast a minor spell, which allows him to enter into his arcane cascade. Once he's in arcane cascade, you'll see his he'll pull his halberd out and he will rear it back. It shines with this he's going to put telekinetic projectile in it, so it begins to shine with this like silvery color, and he is going to strike.
I think
the door.
right
Put a
when
coin
that
on the end of your
happens,
halberd.
he goes, "Hold on 1 second," and Hidaki's gonna lean into the door to see if the previous like boom caused any like noise inside, if there's anyone moving around or anything like that.
You're listening.
Yeah.
Make me a perception check, and then Waffles, just check me as you're doing this. Can you? I thought you couldn't do it with a ranged attack.
I have to do it with something that has a
spell attack roll.
spell attack roll,
Understood.
which is why I can't do it with electric arc, but I can do it with telekinetic
Right.
projectile, from what I understand.
I forgot the thing. Yeah. Yes. Perception.
27.
27. You're listening in. Not hearing very much at all.
All right. You're up.
And as Hideaki steps out of the way,
Arc strikes the door. Do
Yes,
I
hit
need
door.
to make an attack roll, or just damage?
no, you don't. It's an object, and if there's rules for that, I apologize. But for now, it is.
It's late. It's
It's a door.
Have
Come
I
on.
have I placed that rune on my weapon yet?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think that affects my spell strike, but I'll get 2d4 instead of 1d4.
Yay!
Can I
to
roll
share-
just in case I crit?
Oh my gosh, no. Give it a damage.
Okay.
It's a door.
Oh my god!
My
4
gosh.
What a
plus. This is all in 1 damage. Hold on.
I want you. Okay, there is a forced open action. Yeah, just
I'm
athletics check.
killing it. I can't
Okay,
Ark's
okay.
tiny. Ark's
Yeah, none of us are
bad.
strength build. Is
Yeah.
the thing.
That's fair.
None of
But
us.
you are correct.
none of
It
us
is.
are
It is. Force open is on athletics. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Does anybody have more than a +1 in athletics?
No, I have a +0, I think.
I also have a 0.
I will keep
I
that
also
in
have a
mind.
0.
I'll keep that in mind. My bad.
Actually, I have a +6 because I'm trained with a 0 modifier.
Right. Yeah, I think they're meaning the strength modifier.
Yeah.
I'm untrained is the 0. So
Sure.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, athletics.
I mean, I could athletics it for +2, but that's
Yeah.
about it.
I can
Well, Moses
+6,
got
but like
one more.
my real skills are +11s right now. So
What is the?
total damage is 21. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's 7. So I didn't do a whole lot of damage. Total damage is 11.
Okay. At this point, with the previous damage from Overnosa and this damage, you're able to basically blast a hole splintered through the wood. And with that, you take the rest of the time to kind of just break the rest of them open and pushing them and kind of just peeling away the broken pieces of this wood. It takes a little bit of time. It's not a big deal. And you kind of clear the way enough to get into this building. You do see the Anadis are a little bit taken aback by the aggressive natures against this door. As you are unschooled.
listen, we've been here for almost a year. We can do whatever we want, right?
Yep. Whatever.
Yeah.
will fix the
Is
door.
this how Dumbledore felt or fuck
This
terms,
is
but
exactly-
is this
Fuck
how
terms, but yes.
Yeah.
We are that. We are.
Ne'er-do-well magic kids.
yes, being like, oh,
Getting
we go
into
to this
some
school, it's
mischief.
fine.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
What you
I
see
am
from the
just-
inside of this room is so you see shelves and cabinets. So there's dust and cobwebs that are coating the empty shelves and the cabinets. There's hard dirt floor that seems to be stained with paint, and perhaps the powder of long inert reagents that kind of follow through with the thought of this being used for alchemical storage in the past. As you look inwards from this doorway, you see from all of the shelves, all of the empty kind of storage rooms in here, there is a door further in to the left that is also closed. As you step in here, I'm assuming, unless people do not.
Ark will go first,
okay.
and actually, hold on. Ark will look back to everyone and say, "Would anyone else like to lead, like in the caves?"
He's gonna step in. She's just gonna go.
Oh, look at the growth on.
Yes!
Holy shit.
Art's gonna let her go.
Maybe I can just gonna smile, and look back to the Anadi. Do you guys want to join us, or you want to make maybe we can make sure it's all good in here before? Up to you.
Well, do you want us to join you? Are you expecting danger?
Maybe I'll come up to Hideaki and put a hand on your arm, but addressing the Anadi. Maybe we will make sure that there isn't anything dangerous in here before we just let people wander in. Kind of looking towards Hideaki at that point.
He just kind of nods and just kind of massages his temple. It's just another day in the Magaambya.
Meanwhile, Arafe will cast dancing lights while she's inside.
Perfect. Yes.
Light it up.
It is evening outside, so there's not much light filtering through the now broken door. Aside from the poor lantern light that's sitting on the logs basically over there. So dancing lights brighten up the interior. It is dusty in here. You do see very easily, without even a perception check, that you look at the door that you have kind of broken down from the inside and do absolutely see that it has been barricaded in some form from the inside. And you confirm that. Aside from that, it is empty in here, but there are cabinets, there are shelves, there are, things around here, and then there's the door leading onwards to your left. What do you do?
Kind of just do a quick check around what's on the shelves, maybe?
Okay. Hideaki steps in. You want to make me a perception check?
Sure.
You search the room.
Searching the room. That's a 23.
Okay. You...
It's a mimic.
The whole house?
You look around.
I've had that happen already.
There is, like, one of the cabinets in the far end seems to have been, like, completely empty, but there's, like, a sort of odd, like, hitch to the way the cabinet is, like, built in over here. It strikes you as odd, but it otherwise, you're not really, like, seeing all that much, honestly. It's like, this is, like, connected differently from the rest. Like, this cabinet is, like, not connected to, like, the rest of the cabinetry kind of a deal.
Secret door.
Secret tunnel.
Secret tunnel. Yeah, when you said hitch, like, I assumed it was, like, one of the, like, in my head, I was, like, one of those, like, things you, like a little golden, like, switches, like, just...
No, sorry. Like, a hitch in, like, your brain. Like, oh, that's different.
Okay, got it. Well, RFA, where to?
I mean, the only thing she can see is the door, because she hasn't looked over there yet. So she's just gonna go quick listen by the door to see if there's any noise coming from behind it, because it was barricaded from the inside.
Mm-hmm. You lean up against the door and kind of listen in. Make me a perception check.
Perception. I know where it is this time. That is a 25.
Nice.
Do you hear anything, leader?
You listen in. You kind of just as your ear presses against the door. That's it.
Was it like a hissing?
Some sort of soft. You're not quite sure what that is.
You were noise gated. We literally didn't hear it.
Yeah.
It was like a...
Yes.
I thought it was a
It was
hiss.
silence. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's some kind of noise coming from behind the door. I can't tell what it is.
Is the door locked?
She tries the handle, but she does not open the door.
Sure.
Is it trapped?
Wouldn't
So-
know.
So you what do you mean try the door without opening it? Like, see if the handle turns?
Yeah, see if the handle turns, see if there's anything stopping it. Maybe do
Okay.
a slight push in just a little bit to see if there is a latch holding it.
It does not push because this one is a pull.
I don't do that.
This
5
is
minutes
yes.
later.
I feel
You turn the handle and try to kind of give that little bit of a push to see if there's anything budging, and then you kind of go to pull it a little bit and it begins to open. As it begins to open, and Ark here goes out and says, "Is it trapped?" These sudden illusory snakes erupt from the door at you in your direction that make you kind of leap back. They're illusionary snakes. As soon as they kind of just spring out from the door, they disappear in front of you. But every living creature within 30 feet, which is every single one of you, you will need to make me a will saving throw, please.
which I get an extra +1 to that because I have hard to fool.
Nice.
Ooh.
It was a will save, you said?
Yes.
Oh, that's a 20. That's high.
Oh, however, Arafe,
since it is you who opened the door, unfortunately, you must make it twice and take the worst result. As this is a misfortune effect. I will say, as this occurs in the split seconds of a misfortune effect, you feel a glint, Taliatia, of thread in the corner of your eye, if you would like to exert it in some capacity, because you sense a misfortune effect applied to your friend. But this is an innate split second. There is no time here. There is simply a jump from Nim that makes you notice it.
Yeah, I think they'll jump on that feeling. Yeah.
You pull from the lessons from your patron. What are you trying to do to this thread?
If I have I just so I understand like what Tal is perceiving in this meteor res moment.
This is an innate split second moment. These snakes erupt. Everyone around you is being affected by something. And there is that feeling of a thread, and it is, you don't have time to figure out what it's going to do. You could just say, do I pull it?
Oh no.
Pull it.
Okay. Tal has made up their mind, especially after the conversation with Ark, that they are going to get stronger, and the only way to get stronger is to learn, and the only way they learn is by doing. So they're going to do it.
Hells yes.
Let's go.
They want to protect their friends in the best way
for
that they
this,
possibly can.
Pick me a range of 15 on a D100, please.
Love that for us. Love that.
This is good for you, Star. I promise. This is good for you.
15,
Inside check?
you say.
25 to 39.
Well, I was going to start it at 72.
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh my god, I can't do math.
80.
72 to 86.
6, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, roll me D100.
But now it's real if I have to do it.
I mean, kinda, yeah.
Well, roll the 10.
Excellent.
Yeah, 31.
31. You pull almost innately. It's like a flick of like your pinky finger in the midst of this, as you have touched the thread and shifted some misfortune. I will instead, Erife, you're gonna roll flat, and then Tal, you're gonna roll with this misfortune instead.
Nice.
Sick.
Okay, that does actually help me then.
Good, excellent.
My first roll was a 12 and my second one was an 8. So
It doesn't help you, I don't think.
I mean, it does, because it brings me from a 19 to a 21.
Oh, okay. I thought those were your finals.
No,
Oh, yeah.
no. Those were my dice rolls. No. So I got a 21. No, if that was the case, I'd been like 0 point. I don't know. I don't know.
Nice. And you can't stack fortune effects like misfortune.
No.
Okay, cool. Neat.
Yeah,
Good.
one at a time.
Great.
Nope.
Great.
So that was 21 for you, Erife.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, everybody else.
26.
26.
27, nat 20.
Nice.
Oh, amazing.
Should have let him
9.
lead.
Oh! There it is.
The misfortune baby got me a 2.
Damn.
If only.
Listen,
Ark was
I'm
here.
meddling in things. I'm touching things. I'm plucking threads or whatever.
I'm getting spores.
Story.
That's a gift.
Waffles, I have a rules question.
Yeah, hit me.
How many hit points does it take to make me die?
Hissing illusory snakes leap from the door.
Okay.
Each living creature within 30 feet is subjected to this curse.
Yep.
This curse then has a saving throw.
Yep.
So is it only if you pass the saving throw you don't have the curse?
That's what it sounds.
See,
That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, so everybody that has passed, which is everybody but Tal, is not cursed.
I just fucking can't.
Sick.
But Tal,
Fucking voodoo.
Heights.
Oh my god.
Tal. You
Yes.
are.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, no, that's fine. Okay.
I'm diseased 4.
No. It's just a curse.
Pick it up where we left
It's
off.
worse than a
It's
disease.
just a curse. It's just a curse.
Oh, good.
No,
good,
yeah.
great,
The
good.
curse, it magically speeds. It says speeds. I wonder if they meant spreads, but I'm gonna go with speeds. Poison through your body.
Oh, cool.
So you take -1 status penalty to fortitude saves.
Am I poisoned? Am I conditioned poisoned?
Nope, you are cursed.
Not yet.
I'm cursed.
You're cursed. You take a -1
Great.
status penalty to fortitude saves. And you gain weakness 3 to poison.
Sheesh.
Oh boy, that's not good.
You ready to fight some creatures with poison soon?
I bet they're fucking snakes.
Can
I
you
bet they're
tell me that
poisonous ass
second? Tell me
snakes.
that poison thing.
Sorry.
Tell me that poison thing again.
You are weakness. You gain weakness 3 to poison. The curse for
Okay.
Cusco. Cusco's curse.
Great. Good. Great. Good.
exchange. Okay.
So can I give a little exposition on curses, just for people that don't know them?
Yes.
So curses are predominantly, I would say, less deadly than poisons or disease. So poisons do a lot of damage. Diseases, in my opinion, can kill you based on just failing some saves. Curses, semicolon, however, comma, while they aren't super horrible, stay for a very, very long time. Let's talk like infinite amounts of time until they are resolved.
Jesus.
You were just cursed. I didn't say for duration. You are cursed. However, you would have failed that, Arafe, with the misfortune effect. Is that correct?
I would have
Was
gotten
it
a
19?
19.
You would have failed it.
Fucking
No hope.
So Tal's gonna die for you. How does that feel?
You
Wouldn't be the first time.
Step in. Oh!
Right. Especially after you're talking about
I'm gonna carry over this like heightened moment of perception check that you rolled prior, and you go to open the door, and the illusory snakes kind of jump out. All of you take that instinctual step back from these like snakes until they dissipate in this illusion, and whether it is you feel the poison begin to like speed through your body, but just as that sensation begins, it's like a wind blows in the direction of Tal. And I will let you you don't have to know what that means right now at all unless you want to, but there is just a sudden and the feeling fades, and looking over at Tal, they seem to
I
kind of
feel
have
like
that physical.
being someone whose whole thing is to take things from others that are bad for them,
Sure.
she would probably recognize what that
Mhm.
is.
amazing.
So what I because I want to make sure that I'm interpreting what is it physically happening? How does it physically make me feel? Because I don't take any damage from it, right?
Correct. You just feel like this
So I
odd
imagine it would be
sensation of
really a heavy sense of fatigue. Because
Well,
fortitude
you-
save,
it's a -1 status penalty to fortitude saves.
right?
Yes, I will. It's like the heat that you get when you have a fever that just suddenly kind of courses through your blood. You feel it kind of pulse through your veins. It's like there is just something that makes its way through your body that is discomforting and makes you feel off. And then it fades as the snakes fade. And all of you stand there. The door is now just partially open, having just kind of like jumped back. It's like going to be open like a creak maybe. And you all look at each other for that brief moment, not sure what just happened. And that's where we'll end tonight.
Hey.
Hell yeah, we're cursed, baby!